everyone, it's Jeff from Mid-Atlantic Craps over here on the Casino Gaming TV Network. This is Craps Chat, the almost bi-weekly monthly show that we do almost every 2 weeks. Occasionally we stretch it out a little bit depending on meetups and schedules and so forth. But we are here for episode 11 of season 2, and we're going to get it started in just a few minutes, guys. If you would like to join the chat tonight, it's very simple to join the Zoom call. All you have to do is just hit the, let's see here, this button there it goes. You can catch the link in the description below. You can also head over to crapschat.com. There's a little green box just beneath the header, and it will let you in as well. And we also have the Zoom screen up and ready for you to be able to, whoa, wow, how about that? For you to be able to join the show, and it's in there as well as that as my friend. So this is the July 23rd, 2023. Boy, say that a few times. Live Craps Chat show. It's a show where you, the viewer, the subscriber, the YouTube content provider, comes on the show and joins us. The chat is open here. The Zoom connection is open there. That's down below. And you guys can come on and join the show. So far, we just have Sith the Lord. Corey is in the green room from the Zoom standpoint. We do have a couple guests coming on, and we do think that we'll be joined a little bit by a few other people here on the show. So without further ado, when I come back, we'll bring the creator, the co-host, my cohort, Dialer from Skill and Luck. He'll be on the show. Well, let's see if that's a little better on your ears. I see a couple people saying that I was over-modulating, and I didn't even pay attention to the VU meter as I get the show started. Am I any better, Dylan? Do I sound better than I did just a few seconds ago?
Yes, you do. You're not.
Okay.
It's not as distorted yet.
Yes, well, you know, we got the equipment here. You've got the software we use to broadcast with. It has an audio mixer in it that's virtual. We've got an audio board here. I have different setups for different shows. So I saw Vince put it in there, and then I saw Adam G say something as well. But good evening. Welcome to this July 23rd, 2023, Season 2, Episode 11, Dylan. How have you been for the past 2 weeks, my friend?
Oh, I've been great. Things really haven't been too different. It's just same old, same old. So everything's great.
All right. Well, if somebody would like to join the show, it's very simple. It's in the description below on the Zoom side. Right now we have Corey in the Zoom side. We have a couple other guests that we're going to bring on here in just a few seconds. They'll be joining us here in just a couple seconds. Looks like John's just did pop in the room, which means now I got to go out and rearrange the other screen that I didn't have up. Let me see if I have a screen with everybody on it. Oh my goodness. I do have one. How about we just go ahead and switch over here to this screen right here, hit the audio buttons, and welcome everybody to the show. Welcome.
There we go.
Here we go. We got Dylan beneath us. I've got John that way. It's always the wrong way. John is that way in the center. We got Ed from Road to Win all the way in the corner. And right now, lonely in the Zoom room is Corey, Sith the Lord, for those of you that ever watch the Friday night fights. He's in the Zoom room, and I'm waiting for some more people to show up. The actual link to that is simple. All you got to do is just head to the description and click it, or go to Craps Chat. There's the link. You don't have to click on that, but you can click on the link in the chat, and it definitely will. It will display it. So let's go ahead and let's welcome a couple people here. John, welcome back to the West Coast. Hey. Under the circumstances, you had to travel to the East Coast. Once again, my friend, we've talked a couple times. Hope everything got squared away with the sudden death in the family. And my condolences to you, my friend. I'm glad to see you back. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Can you hear me? And is there an echo? That's my question.
I hear no echo.
And my headphones is busted, so I'm working on getting so I can hear without my speakers.
Well, I can. If on your side the audio
I've
echo
lost
cancel
all.
should work. On my side it
Oh my
won't work,
God.
but on your side it should. So
There we go.
you got back. I guess you came back yesterday. Is that what happened?
You got back late last night, yeah. Late last night. It was a long day of travel, long week, really. I'm just like completely worn out.
Yeah, the you know the sudden trip and then to be gone for a week and then to travel back and I know that you had all these shows set up last week and I'm assuming that the shows you have set up so far in this week were the same shows for last week. I don't know that that's the case. You just
I
changed
just changed the dates. Yeah, I went.
Yeah.
I pre-scheduled them all on Saturdays, for the following week, and I just moved them all out a week. So starting tomorrow, we'll do our thing. I don't even know what tomorrow's show is supposed to be about. I have to go look at the thing still.
It's
I
the
have a
latter.
suspicion that I'm supposed to do some Wind Craps programming tonight to make it work, but I honestly forget, so I have to go look.
It's the latter versus the Latterson.
Ladder
you go.
versus ladder. It's not versus. It's more about like the theory behind each of them. I'm trying to get into
Right.
some theoretical stuff now, and it's like I want to show like how these like why they work and don't work and where their strengths and weaknesses are. That's really what I'm doing all week. I wanted to do like kind of a this versus that to kind of give you sort of a comparative sense of how things work.
Yeah. Well, I know
I
that
gotta go dig in and see.
the viewers that tune in for the show, both the Coffee and Craps and the Daily Paychecks, they're going to be glad to see you back. But everybody understands what took place. Real quick, I put something up there from Arnell. I want to say happy birthday to Arnell. It's his birthday. Arnell, check your DM in Discord. I sent you something earlier today. But I'd like to say hello to happy birthday to Arnell from Dice Grinders. Live Fantasy Craps Wednesday night right here on Casino Gaming TV. So, Ed, how are you, my friend?
Man, I'm good. I'm great. We just had a great
All right.
premiere, and I'm glad to see John is back home and safe.
Yep.
John, you've been in my thoughts and prayers all week.
I appreciate that.
Yep. So, Ed, we'll come back to you in just 1 second. I'm going to go over here to Corey, make sure that the audio on the Zoom side is working. Corey, how are you doing, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing all right. I like John. I've had a busy week traveling out here to the Seattle area. Missed John because he was out on the East Coast, and I'm also with him not being here. I had to change my plans and drive down to Portland to visit my grandmother who passed away yesterday. So,
Oh, my gosh.
I
Sorry
got
to
to
hear
see
that.
her one last time, and that was that was a blessing that I got to see her before she passed on. But at 97, it wasn't a surprise, but it always
Wow.
hits you. So
Yeah.
a lot of travel once I got out here to the West Coast.
Well, we know what was going to be planned for this past Friday night, so we really won't talk about that per se. We'll maybe get into the show about it because we have no idea what's coming up this Friday night. Because you told me in the green room that you're up next to play on Friday, and you're going to be on a cruise, so you might not be able to play. And John will take care of that later in the week. We'll figure something out. But welcome to the show. If anybody would like to join, you can hit the description below. The link to Zoom is there. It's also at crapschat.com, and I've put it up here as well. I'd like to have somebody else beside Corey over on the Zoom side come and join us today. So it's just that simple. So here we are again, guys. 2 weeks later. The last time we were here, the show went 3 hours and 41 minutes in the regular show and about 48 minutes in the after show. And I had to travel to Atlantic City the next day. And I can tell you, by the time I got done with Chef Dice and his wife and Keeley, meeting them on Monday, I went and took a nap, and I almost missed the rest of Monday. But it's a good show here. Glad to see everybody here. I do know that we have a couple people that's here. Vince is back. I saw Vince out there. He said hello. And we have Jeremy from Color Up is also in the chat. Please, guys, if you want to jump in on the Zoom call, you certainly can. We certainly would welcome that. Vince, welcome back. I've seen you've been doing a couple of videos now on. Jeremy's joining us as I say that. I see you've been doing a couple of videos, and you're back on YouTube. So, Vince, welcome back. And what do you say there? A place where you belong. Best place to be on YouTube. Hey, I appreciate that. I appreciate that, Vince. So, With that said, guys, this is Craps Chat. Let's get it started. Specifically, not a specific guest or topic tonight. I had a couple of people suggest some topics to me. Last 2 weeks ago, when I brought up the topic, somebody suggested, boy, did we get off track. Man, we went all over the place with that topic, and it created a lot of animosity that kind of flowed over to a couple days after the fact. And we may get back to it tonight. I don't know, because I had a couple emails and I talked to a couple people about the topic. I don't even want to mention it yet, but I think everybody here knows what happened. Let's go ahead and welcome Jeremy from Color Up with us. He's just jumped into the Zoom call. Jeremy, welcome.
Thanks. How you guys doing tonight?
We're doing good. I'm actually trying to resize that screen since he's not doing one in there. Let's see if we can get that a little bigger.
Thank you so much for joining. Appreciate you.
Yep. So let's start off with Ed. Ed, you had another episode of Tales of the Table. It was Gargoyle. The episode, I sent you a text during the show, and I said, why does this seem so familiar to me? But you have a part 2 coming up. So real quick, let's talk about what you just did over on your channel, Road to Win, and then we'll move on and look for some questions. Anybody has a question for the panel tonight, guys, please put it in a capital Q and or their initials so that I can pin the question for later on. So Ed, tell us about tonight's show.
Well, tonight y'all got introduced to Gargoyle. And Gargoyle's been playing a very, very long time. He's a great player. He's a great shooter. Been playing a long time. So we got into, y'all saw pieces of his marvelous collection, right? You saw pieces of his marvelous collection of layouts tonight that he's collected over the years, most from casinos that are no longer aboard. And I shot a couple of pictures out of his man cave there with, the blackjack layouts hanging on the wall, plus all the craps layouts he's got. Great guy. He and I had a discussion afterward, John. He might even join us tonight. I don't know, but he and I had a discussion right after the show, and we might pick one of those layouts to auction for the craps for the cure.
That's fantastic.
So that would be an opportunity to own a piece of history, but it's got to be a really good. It doesn't have to be the most collectible, but it's going to be collectible, I guarantee you. So since he's got his collection, I'm not going to speak for him. He might not do it, but we had that discussion as possible.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. I love all those old I love the stories on those things. Like, they've all just got so much money on them, and so many things have happened on those things. It's just so cool to own a part of that.
Yeah,
like
and I set him up the week before, and that's why I couldn't resist dropping that show tonight, because Memo had sent me the memo was on this table when this guy was actually dry humping. He was dry humping him.
That was a funny story.
And so there he is. He's up there. I see. Y'all can see his man cave in the background. But that is Gargoyle, and I appreciate him jumping on. I tell you what, if y'all can get him involved in this community, you will have a real jewel in the community, because Gargoyle is he's been playing a long time. And he's played with all the masters, and he's just as good as any of those y'all have heard about, but he's flown below the radar all these years. And my interview with him kind of brought him back out a little bit, I think. So blame me, I guess.
Welcome. Good to have you here, man. That was a lot of great storytelling there, for sure. So it's good to meet you now. Actually, like 10 minutes after I virtually met you, I'm virtually meeting you in person. So good to see you.
That's what's good about this show.
This is impromptu. So I got the text and it's like, hey, why don't you jump on over? And sorry about the mess. I'm not only do casino stuff, but I also like to build Legos, and I'm in the middle of one of my Lego builds. So, I didn't even have time to clean up, and Ed's like, oh, just join. Don't worry about it. I'm like, okay.
No, we're glad to have you. And when I brought you on, I didn't recognize the name, so I had to move you guys off screen because every once in a while we have a tendency to have people join the show that don't have the craps in mind. They have other things in mind, and I have to watch our left on the show. But welcome to the show. Excellent episode tonight. And when I sent it to Ed, I said, Ed, I've seen part of this before, or you were using it in a different one, and I like the way that he kind of set that up for next week's show. So welcome to the show as well. And Nemo,
if you want to say, John, I left you a cliffhanger.
Cliffhanger is like, hey, our friend Cage, black screen. And I was like, wait, because I was in the car. I was going to pick up dinner. And I'm like, did I lose my connection? And then I saw you in the chat. Like, that son of a gun did it to me again.
He's getting better at that editing, too.
That is great stuff,
Yeah, Ed, you're getting better at the editing.
Well, I'm working on it, and just so John will know, I've got many more Stanford Wong stories that I've already got tape on. They're in my computer. It's just going to be a while before I get them out.
Just got me hooked. You got me hooked, Ed. Just reel it in slow, little tug every now and then. I'm with you, man. I am with you.
But just so you'll know, I'll go ahead and give you the spoil. I'll give you a piece of a spoiler. That guy right down there, he's the one that taught Cage how to make that shot.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes, he is.
That should certainly interest you, John.
That should. That's how I throw.
Well,
so
I showed him the mechanics. He kind of like took it to his own and made it his own. And we all do. We all just kind of learn the mechanics and then make it work for our advantage. But yeah, I don't want to spoil the part two, but when he came over and he's like, oh, I want to do this shot. And I'm like, I don't know what the hell you're doing, but that's not the helicopter shot, dude. But yeah, he pretty much, he pretty much took what I showed him and made it his own, which is, and he's got a beautiful shot now. So I
guarantee if you saw me throw it, you give me a slap in the face too, because I literally have learned it by trying to slow down his videos and mimic the what I'm seeing. I throw it pretty good, but I know damn well it ain't right. So that would be.
It's a unique shot. It's a unique shot, and I know something flashed on my screen. It's gargoyle, and I don't use OYLE because that I started using gargoyle a long time ago, and that was already taken. So I just used OIL, and I don't have a home casino. I live in Atlanta, but I used to go all over the place. But these days I just go down to Biloxi. But yeah, going back to the shot, it's a peculiar shot, and it works if you can keep the bottom die landed flat, so that you can kind of have the top facing, and then the top, the top die is pretty much, you can have your 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, or 6, 5, 4, 3, 2 on the bottoms.
Nice.
Yeah, I've noticed that exact. My bottom. We could talk about this all night long, but I keep meticulous statistics on my tosses, and my bottom die is many percentages higher than it should be as far as staying what I would call on axis. The top die is the one that randomized. That's the one I have trouble with. Like I think everybody else does. That bottom die spins like a top. The top die is like, when it's good, it's good. When it's bad, it is a freaking disaster. But
because you got more pressure on one than the other, so one is moving faster than the other. It's your grip. I can just already tell it's your grip.
Totally. Well, I just changed it. I was gripping it in the middle of the die, when middle finger, middle of the die, and I just changed to the first finger all the way down, and it's completely changed the shot for me. Yeah. It's flying so different now. Last couple of weeks, I'm like, I
don't want to hijack the whole video, but wait until I tell you use all three. The whole thing. The whole thing. Your whole shot changes. It either goes really well or really bad.
Whether it's the par, or Uri or whatever, you can tweak each thing and make it your own, to a small degree. So there's a lot of so John will develop his own quote unquote style, and it'll work for him eventually.
It will. Like I said, what I've been monkeying with it is the spin rate, because what I found when I break it down under slow mo, when I see my spin rate under slow mo, the faster the spin, the better the shot, because they stay.
Yeah. See what he's.
Yeah.
See what he's.
Okay. Yeah. I see.
Okay, and then if you really want to get fancy,
That's how I hold it.
Put your pinky out.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I get the cage. Yeah. That's interesting. Okay.
Well, interesting is right. Real quick, guys, if you give me 1 second on administrative things, I want to answer this question for Biff just so he can understand about the show. He says, does Zoom require an app or cell phone, or will it connect anyway? It'll connect anyway, cell phone, internet. You can use your computer. If you're on a computer, please put a pair of headsets on, but you don't need any special software. Just hit the link, pop it in there, make sure you have a name in there that I can recognize and I know that it's you, and I'll let you into the show. It's that simple, guys. That's how simple it is to get on the show. We welcome everybody. Nemo, I haven't said anything to you. I put something up there on your question about you using the chopper toss as well. Unmute yourself, say hello, Nemo. Let's say hello to everybody tonight, and then we will we'll get back to the show. Okay? Say hello, Nemo. We're gonna assume Nemo said
checking.
it's
Sorry,
There he is.
trying to use my production mic here. How's it going, everybody?
It's good. It's going good. So, Jeremy, it looks like you're trying to do a little bit of work there at the same time you're on the show tonight. Welcome to the show. I don't know if you're actually maybe doing some video editing or something, but you look pretty busy there tonight.
I'm sorry if I'm distracting. I can bounce off, but no, I was listening. I just don't have much to add to, tossing and gripping. So,
Well, I know that that hat that you have on, you probably can't see it, but right above my finger there, that I have that same hat. Well, I wonder where you got that hat from, but it's a nice hat. I actually have it right up above there. So anyway, thanks for coming on. Let's go ahead, and while we got Gargoyle and Ed here and John, let's go ahead and talk about that tossing for a few minutes. Let's not, like Gargoyle says, we won't take the whole show up with it, but let's talk a little bit about it. John, you have some questions for it?
Of course I have questions for him. Like I said, so I've done, and I should actually send you a link to the video, but I did a slow-mo breakdown of my version of this toss, right? And Cage and I have gone back and forth on this because he likes to really kind of limp it into the back wall. And I throw it a little harder than that. And what I found when I watched the slow motion is the faster that spin, they hit that back wall and they keep on going, right? And I feel like they land and they stick a little bit tighter if the spin rate's high. But we're going back and forth about how fast do you want them die spinning? And are you trying to trickle it in, or are we trying to keep the action under control? Like where does the control leave, I guess, is more my question on that.
it's a slow spin. No, it's a slow spin. A fast spin will randomize your toss. It's a very, very slow spin, but the correct characteristics of the dice, because it's like a helicopter, they should be rotating one on top of the other. Mm-hmm. So, but when they land, the bottom die should land first, and the other one following it right next to it. If there's a lot of splatter, then you're not going to get the right outcome. If you spin them really fast, when they hit, they're gonna hit the back wall and splatter a lot further back. But with a slow spin, they will just land, slightly hit the back wall, and then just kind of like stop, kind of like what Cage does. His is very, very, very good with, from that standpoint. He doesn't get 100%, but his percentage is in the 90s from the videos that I've seen, where he can kind of get it, over there. But if you notice, there's not a lot of spin on them. And the more one on top of the other they're going, the better they are. If they start going like this, then you're gripping them wrong.
Is that a function of gripping too hard when they separate too much in the air like that?
The separation should be minimal. There should be about this much separation.
Okay.
Very, very minimal.
What I've seen quite a bit of is they kiss on landing, right? So when I had that landing kiss, of course all bets are off, right? What's the cause of that? I feel like I'm not getting the proper separation in that case.
You're not, yeah. So the separation has to be very minimal, enough for that one to fall and the other one to fall past it. But if there's no separation, they're just going to clack, and probably one's going to turn over, and then based on the set, you're going to get a 7.
Yeah, that one that goes when they clack, that one just goes it goes directly 90 degrees. Like, and I find that they're spinning beautiful, but they're right on top of one another, and this goes bam, and you lose the one.
Right.
And that's been frustrating recently for me, for sure.
Right.
With that new grip I'm messing with.
If you're getting a lot of them like that, then when you grip, separate the dice. These are glued dice. Yeah, double dice. I practice with them, to make sure that they're rolling on par. Go to a commercial. I'll be right back.
Commercials. We don't have commercials, but we certainly can.
This break brought to you by Jeremy at Color Up.
This is brought to you by Jeremy at Color Up, he says.
That's pretty good. I know Jeremy's a random roller, but he's not into setting dice. But go ahead, Gargoyle.
So a lot of times, if you're picking them up, you pick up one, and then you do a separation when you pick it up, so that it's picked up like this.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah.
If you're getting a lot of, one hitting the other, that means that you're perfecting it to where, they're landing. Put a little bit of abnormality in it. They'll still spin the same way, but they'll have a separation.
Okay. That
but
I will try.
They need to be like this in the air. They need to be like, kind of like this in the air.
We got El Toro in the house too.
El Toro just jumped in as well. Yeah, he did. Gargoyle, I got a question for you. Have you seen Sarge's toss compared to the Cage and yours and John's? Have you seen Sarge toss his toss?
Probably not. I've seen only a few videos with Cage, and he probably posted it on his video maybe.
I was just wondering. I had an opportunity to play with him on June 1st, and I was very interested in his landing zone with that toss. His landing zone is just beyond the E and the come, and he just bounced him right back to the back wall. And Ed saw it, and I'll talk about it again. In 11 rolls, he threw, I don't know, it was 6 or 7 6-2-8s, and it was just impressive to me to watch him be so consistent.
Yeah.
Sarge has learned a lot from Cage on that shot, and Sarge is progressing very well with that particular shot. Yeah. This old man right here, he ain't never gonna be able to do it.
Yeah, depending on the table bounce is your height. If it's too high, it's gonna bounce, but you want it to kind of like almost get to the back wall and then just bounce back. I like to throw it on semi-bouncy table to no bouncy table, because I know I can drop it right before the lip, and it'll just, both of them will kiss the back dice if it's like a hard table. I use that shot a lot on the roll to win craps tables, because it's plexiglass, and I just take it and I just drop it right there, and I will spin it to where I make sure they're, by the time they land, they're like this, because or else it's gonna go like that. And I have good results on the plexiglass tables.
So my local casino up here, Gargoyle, my local casino has a plexiglass top with felt on top. They have like this. It's a full size table, a full crew, dealers, chips, everything else, but it's plexi with felt on top, or like with microfiber on top of it. So it acts like a roll to win, but there's none of those little speed bump things, and you can literally drop them and stick them wherever you want to.
Yeah,
somebody's practiced.
There's no bounce. There's probably no bounce. That's a
zero bounce
table. That's
zero bounce. I almost feel like I'm cheating. Like sometimes I'll spin and it'll hit once and they'll just kind of slide on into the end. I'm like, that almost looked like it was, but they fly, they bounce once and they're just in. It's perfection for somebody like you with or Cage or SJ that has the skill, or for Sarge has the skill. You would love it. I'll fly you to Seattle. We'll play.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we get to. But I just want to say, the person that really created that shot is Vegas Dice Control, VDC up in Vegas. He's the first. He's the first person I saw shoot that toss, and
That was a question asked by Arno. Wanted to know, did you come up with the chopper toss? But I'm glad that you actually got to answer that. So real quick, let me just jump down to our other guest, and we'll come right back to you, Gargoyle. El Toro, your microphone looks like it's turned on. We'll say hello to you tonight. It's been a few months since you've been on the show, so welcome back, my friend. Can you say hello to everybody?
Oh yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. I don't know if you can hear me, but hopefully you can.
Oh no, we can hear you.
We hear you, El Toro.
Yeah, we can. We've got we got two different mixes going on. We've got Dylan beneath me. We got John to the right of me, and then we got Ed next to him, and then we've got in the Zoom call with you is Jeremy from Color Up, Gargoyle, who was just on the show with Ed Roll to Win. We got Nemo, Adam G, Sith the Lord, and you. So welcome to the show. I'll go ahead and ask this question, El Toro, because I don't know the answer. When you throw the dice, is it a typical traditional dice grip, or do you do something like Gargoyle did with that chopper toss?
You mean as far as how I hold them?
Yeah, how you hold them and release them. Yes, sir.
Depends on the surface of the table for me. So if I've got a bouncy surface, I'm holding them deep.
Okay.
If it's a non-bouncy surface, it doesn't matter. I'm enough within the first pips at the top. Either way, the way I'm sending it's still dead. Like a knuckleball.
Yep, got it. All right. I'm pleased with the people that we have on the panel tonight. I do have some questions to get to. Does anybody else have any grip questions for Gargoyle or any questions that have to do with the chopper toss? I saw a couple comments in the chat here. However, most people are already commenting on what we've talked about. Anybody on the panel?
I'm just going to say, so, you want to know more about Gargoyle, watch the next show. I'm not really pushing myself or my show or my series, but I guess I am in a way. I mean, the next show is going to be over an hour, guys. So pop a lot of popcorn because it's hysterical.
Is that next Sunday?
Is hysterical with his stories. Yeah. I got to decide, but maybe.
Okay. All right. Still doing some editing down. Adam, did you have a question for Gargoyle?
Not really, but I wanted to tell a story about Sarge and the chopper toss. So I went over to the Beau Rivage, and it was probably after I left the Hard Rock, and well, I'd been drinking. It was funny, but we got there, and he's on the table. He's on this $25 table, so I went ahead and I bought in for $500, and so he's throwing a chopper toss, and this thing is the weakest looking toss when he throws it. You don't think that it's going to make it to the back wall at all, but that thing drops, and he was probably putting it on the Beau Rivage table somewhere in the, maybe 3 feet up from hitting the back wall. So he was dropping it in front of the M on me, and that thing it hit the table, and then it would bounce, and then it was like skipping a rock on a stone on a pond, and it just kept speeding up, and there was a big bounce, a small bounce, and then exactly like skipping a stone. But I think he probably threw about a 30 roller, and I only bought in for like one number or whatever, so I had like a $30 6, and he hit the 6 a couple of times, so I got an 8. And then the guy threw like 7 8s. It was ridiculous his how much he could hit the 6 and 8.
Well, that's what I was saying a minute ago. I said basically the same thing, that he was landing it probably on the opposite side of the E and the come, but it was a ways away from the table and skipped it in, and I saw him throw repetitive 6-2-8s. It was just, it was amazing. Wow, I like what Churro just said. Midmo Yo just out there said, wow, what a panel we have tonight, and we do have a really good panel tonight. So guys, if you have some questions for the panel, we've got some people here tonight that can answer the questions. We've got Gargoyle, who was just featured on Ed's show, Tales of the Table. We've got Jeremy from Color Up, El Toro. We've got Sith the Lord, Adam G., and Nemo, as well as Ed, John, me, and Dial-In. If you'd like to join the show, it's really simple to join the show. Come on in, let's have a talk. Don't wait till the after show like we typically do. Do not wait for that after show. Let's just come on here and ask your questions and get the questions in, guys. I'm queuing some questions up. We'll get to the questions here shortly. So while we're still here, somebody. If anybody else has anything to say with the show or with having Gargoyle on, I'd like to move around to the panel and get some of these questions out and get moving on.
Yeah, I also throw a chopper toss, not exclusively, but and what I have found with it is two things. When I am short with it, and I throw it more like John throws it. He's the one. His show introduced me to it. But I usually need to be deeper with it with the higher spin rate to be successful. And when I'm short, it's bad, and when I'm off axis, it's terrible. So I may start practicing with some of the things that he's talked with to see if I can get improve my results with it. But when it's on, and it is awesome when it's on.
All right. Nemo, you got your hand up. What would you like to ask?
Yeah, I've been practicing on my rig for quite some time using the chopper. I'm getting like either terrible results or I get like the most insane results. The most I've got was a 53 roller from it, but the problem was that I'm getting very, very inconsistent landing zones, rebounds, everything. I don't get the same results every single time. So, and the thing is that this table that I have is, I think, 3/16, so it's very damn bouncy. What would you think of the result, like the result of that? Because I know where my landing zone is. It's more of trying to deal with the bounciness.
So my suggestion, if you're dealing with the bounciness, is the angle, the height. So lower the height. That way, it doesn't have to go up and then hit hard. So if you lower the height, it will just kind of like dive right into the back wall. But if you're not hitting your landing zone, then mark it with a paint tape or something, and like a big square. And then what I do when I'm dealing with some of that, because every now and then I have to just practice landing zone, is I get a magic marker and I just blank off the faces of the die, so that I don't care what the result is. I'm just trying to practice the form and the landing zone.
The landing zone for me here is between the M and the E on my table, and that's what I've been trying to aim at. Right here.
Okay.
And my main set is always going to be the 1-2-1-2, looking from the top and the side. And I'm trying to make sure when I'm seeing what I'm looking at is that the aces continually spin. And once it lands, it changes from changes to a hardway set into the back wall. And that's where I'm trying to make sure once it's off a certain result that I'm getting a certain portion of one way or the other of the hardway set coming out at the end result. Instead, I'm not getting that. Either I sometimes get a double pitch, triple pitch, pitch forward, quarter turn. Sometimes it barrel rolls backward like 3 times in a row, like shooting backwards in multiple directions. So It's just one of those things where I'm noticing a lot of the other stuff that the chopper toss. Don't get me wrong, it is one of the most easiest to read, to be honest with you, for me to understand what the heck is going on in the long run. And that's what the beauty of the chopper I've noticed for me is that I can take advantage of those things for those reasons.
I have a suggestion.
Go ahead, El Toro.
Well, looking at that, are you talking about on that table that your practice rig, or are you talking about on a full size table?
It's my practice rig, yes.
All right. What I usually find out on bouncy tables is if I'm looking at your rig right now, and if you're trying to hit it on the elm, you're giving a lot of bounce space. On a bouncy rig, what you may want to try is getting it closer to your back wall. Doesn't give it a whole lot of room to bounce everywhere. You're going to get a little bit of play, but I believe what's going to happen is you're going to find that your bottom die is going to plug. It's not going to roll much, like what you're talking about. It's not going to roll as much.
Okay.
You'll probably plug your bottom die, and then it's going to make your top die kiss it and then fall off the top.
So you're saying you're implementing that I should try to land it, like
so where you see where your DC is, or your don't pass.
Where your dice is right now, that should be your landing zone. There's a dice on the table right now. So
bar 12. See where it says bar the 12th? I guess on your rig. That's where I would knock them out.
Yep.
On a bouncy rig.
Well,
that we're going to keep it from bouncing.
Okay, so basically that's where my landing zone should be.
Mm-hmm. If it's bouncy.
Ooh.
Yep. Let me go ahead and interject in here, guys, so we can keep the show moving. I'm going to put something over here that Jen says that if your table condition doesn't mimic your local casino, really, what difference does it make? Because that is a smaller table that you have here. And I'll follow that up with a question from Joe Ramus that says, how's that say? Do you throw, or does this chopper hit the back wall straight on, or into the hook, or either side, to get a better roll off? I'm not sure how you guys can kind of interpret that question there yourself as to what he means there, and you can kind of reply with that. So when you practice, I'll ask this of El Toro as well as John and Gargoyle. On a smaller table like Nemo has here, because I've had one before, and I used to practice a par shot and a drop shot, and now I've moved to a full 12-foot table. It's made a world of difference in my dice throwing to mimic something that's conditionally either one of your locals or one of your favorite casinos to go to. Doesn't that make a difference?
Of course, huge difference. But as long as you know, if it's a bouncy table, but as long as you have a distance from stick left one to the back wall, the same as a regular table, then you're good. But if it's a tub and you're standing, 2-3 feet away, then yeah, you're pretty much wasting hours and hours of practice.
I'm going to address that with Jen, what she said. She's actually 100% right. If you're not practicing on what you play on, it doesn't make a difference.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So getting a full-size table, if you went to a 12-foot or you're going to a 14-foot table, you're able to get a little bit closer to what you're playing on. What you're looking for there usually is going to be that muscle memory, consistency in your toss, consistency in your grip, where you're going to be able to strike your landing zone pretty close. Kind of like when you go out shooting a gun, right? I don't know if anybody does, but you're trying to put all your holes in pretty close in a little target right there.
Yeah.
If you're all over the place, you're spraying everywhere. It's not very good. You're kind of wanting to do the same thing with your dice.
I'm not sure what Ed's pointing to.
I'm pointing at John.
Oh, John. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I got that.
Trying to point.
Guys, in order to keep the show moving, I don't want to hang up here on this because we could probably give chopper toss lessons for the next probably hour and a half of the show, but that's not what we're specifically here for. We're here because people actually had some really good questions asking Gargoyle that. Ed's part 2 is going to be coming out sometime soon with that as well. And El Toro, for some reason, when I was working with Zoom, I killed your icon or your video. If you can start that back up, but I would like to move on with the show. And I know sometimes I get busted on this because people say, Jeff, you moved on too fast with the show. But we do have other people here that may want to say something in regards to some of the questions that we do have. So with that said, is anybody final call here for the chopper toss comments or questions, concerns? I see Jeremy's got a set of dice in his hand.
Well, I'm just obviously without too much knowledge, I'm assuming the traditional toss, you're trying to keep it on axis this way, and then the chopper is just, if you keep it, like if the 6 is down, you're trying to eliminate that axis, I'm assuming correctly, right? Trying to eliminate certain axes. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And traditionally you throw it in the middle of the table. That way it'll hit the back wall and kind of land. If you throw it in the hook, it may go sideways and you pretty much don't get the results that you want to get. So you're trying to throw it like somewhere to where it goes straight into the back wall and come back, just like a bar shot or something.
Okay.
Gargoyle, I have a question for you. What do you recommend, and the other panel members as well? What do you recommend for beginners that are beginner dice influencers that for different tosses? Do you recommend the chopper? Do you recommend the Uri? Do you recommend the par? What do you think is better for the beginners?
The easiest toss is by far the par shot, simply because you can kind of grip it like this and then just kind of throw it. The chopper is an easy toss, but if you can't get them to go like this in the air, if they're wobbly, then it's a random shot. I would say, and I don't make any money from these classes, but I would say, if you don't know how to throw a dice, or you want to learn, there are lots of videos out there. But if you have the money to spare on a class, with Heavy, Howard, or anyone, just take one and just have them work with you and figure out what toss. If you're in the Atlanta area, you can come over and just bring me pizza. That's all I charge is pizza, and we can work on my table. But the I've never taken a dime, but I have taken pizza. But I think the easiest toss is the par toss to me.
Yeah, I'm fixing the video there, guys. You can keep talking.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that's the I would say start learning that, and pretty much the 45-degree angle and stuff. Don't worry about what set results are. Get the mechanics, the stand, the grip, and the toss. Once you get the mechanics, then you start setting the dice the way you want and start getting the results.
Technology.
Get the mechanics first on your grip, how you set your landing zone. Make sure your landing zone. I have a trick shot. One day I'll videotape it and I'll send it to Ed and he'll post it. Where I'll toss a par shot into a cup at the end of the table. Both dice go into the cup. That's but I mean, to me, even I just practice. Even if I don't have to do anything, if I'm on a video call, conference call, at work, and I'm sitting here working from home, I go on mute. I walk to my table and I just practice. Not because I don't know how to shoot, but muscle memory. As Toro said, it's like shooting a gun. I shoot IPSC and USPSA. So I don't know if you guys know what it is, but I compete. So it's all muscle memory and mechanics. Same thing with this. I transferred the muscle memory from shooting the gun to shooting dice. It's step by step by step by step by step. Once the dice leaves, you have no control. But until the dice leaves your fingers, you have control of everything you do. Once the dice leaves your hand, then it's up to the dice gods, and stuff like that. But if you control yourself up to the point where the dice leaves your fingers, you should have positive results.
All right. Well, that sounds like excellent advice to me. I do have a couple questions here. If we can move on with another question, I got a couple questions for you, Jeremy. That's popped up here. Let me cue the question back up here. Gargo, hang in there with us. If you have to go, I understand that, but I want to keep the show moving to make sure that we get this in here. Let's see here. For Jeremy, it looks like Joe Ramus has a question. Have you seen or heard anything from Road Warrior?
No, I'm not familiar with that name, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't recognize it either. And then the other question for you, Jeremy, would be, what is the one crap tip you give that seems to help most of your viewers? I don't know if they're talking about mechanics, game, money management, playing the game itself.
Yeah, I don't I don't know. That's so broad. Besides having fun, right? It is a game after all. It would be probably proper bankroll for whatever you're playing. If you go in with a short bankroll, no matter how you play or strategy or whatever, whether you're a controller or not, if you're just underfunded, you go on a short bad streak. It's tough to win that way, right? So you've got to have enough bankroll to deal with the inevitable ups and downs of the game. So I would say probably the number one thing would be, and especially it's tougher today as the table limits keep creeping up and up, right? Although it looks like in some places actually dropping back down and becoming reasonable again. But probably properly bankrolled to withstand some ups and downs, to give yourself a shot to win.
All right. Excellent response there. I don't know if I should display what John just put. Most people in the chat can see it, but John says Jeremy's best crap tip: don't buy a strategy online. I don't know if there must be something to
Those
more
are
to
my
that.
favorite.
No,
Jeremy,
I show obviously hundreds of strategies, but none of them are worth paying for. They're all, I've got I don't know, a huge library of craps books. They're all variations of another, and in the end, a strategy cannot beat a house edge, right? Every single bet has a house edge. That's never going to change. So if you do want to beat the game, I'm skeptical, but you do have to be able to throw the dice in a way to beat the dice probability. There's no way to beat the game with any type of betting strategy. So yeah, never pay for a crap strategy. You'll find it online for free somewhere, and they're not worth
Jeremy's channel.
penny,
It'll be on Jeremy's channel for free. Those are literally Jeremy. Those are my favorite. So Jeremy's like the nicest guy on the planet. Like I've never heard you swear. I don't think once. Not like me or Ken, right? But when Jeremy, like my favorite Jeremy videos are when he gets a little bit snarky. He's like, "Hey, let's beat this game." And he like rips some strategy that he bought online for and I'm giving it to you for free. Just love those videos. Those are my favorite. I like those. Those are my popcorn videos, Jeremy. When you buy something and then give it to us for nothing, and all the snark you can muster up is the best.
Yeah, it's a real shame when people take advantage of people like that. And I mean,
man,
it'll be something like the 3-point Molly, and it's like, $299 or something like that. I'm like, really? What are we paying for? So it's a shame, but there are people out there. I haven't seen them lately, but I think there's a real famous guy on YouTube that he kind of just shows his hands. I don't know that, but he's always selling strategies. So yeah, don't pay for any strategies.
That ain't me. I don't sell that shit.
And I have no problem with making money, charging for information and knowledge and training and teaching, but to sell something that's not, it's there's just not, well, it's mostly how you sell it, right? You want to sell a package of strategies or show like information. I actually don't have a problem with that. But if you're saying, hey, this can beat the casino and, reverse the house edge, it's not a real thing, and don't pay for that. So that's a little clarification for that.
$5,000 a day, right? Was that the one?
Right.
The most recent one.
Yeah.
I like it.
If it's too good to be true, it's probably not.
Get rich quick is pretty much what they call them.
Yeah. Ooh, Clay. That's a great quote, Clay. Clay's my favorite.
Bourbon, Clay. Bourbon. We're going only on bourbon.
Whiskey helps too. Yep.
Speaking of bourbon, Ed, I don't see the John J. Bowman's not on the back wall. You need another bottle?
What does that say?
I do. You see that? Flat ass empty.
There you go.
There ain't a drop in it.
It's only a gambling problem if I'm losing.
What's the house edge on a losing bet?
House edge on a losing bet?
Yeah. 100%.
100%.
It's 100%. There's no losing bet for the house. All bets are winners for them.
One thing that I was thinking of when
there's no edge on a losing bet. It's only an edge if you win, right? The house takes a little money off the top.
one thing I was thinking about when you were saying a bit.
Can you guys hear us?
And I think access, hopefully.
Yeah, unless you double pitch, and that's where the problem starts. So as far as a dice set, I agree, start with the hard way. But as you progress and you
Boy, it's cutting in and out again.
Everybody.
I can't hear Jeff at all.
Everybody.
Jeff, it looks like Jeff's talking, but I can't hear him at all.
Yeah, we're all.
All right, sorry, guys. Yep. No, sorry, guys. It was my fault. I'm trying to keep the show on track like we did. I don't want to get off track like we did last week. We wasted 28 minutes last week's show or the week before show, getting off key and off topic on things that kind of like took the show in the wrong direction. So I'm gonna put this back up here again. This is for Gargoyle. We have a question from Arnell, whose birthday boy today. His birthday is today or this weekend, and he asked, how many times have you ever hit a 6-point fire bet? I played with Arnell about a month ago, and he actually hit a 5-point when I was on the table with him. So let's talk about fire bets. So we'll start with you, Gargoyle. Have you ever hit a 6-point?
Yeah, I've actually in my lifetime I've hit them 3 times. They're very hard, very, very hard to hit. I've done multiple 5s, but the 6th one, they're very difficult. A lot of the tables have moved over to the ATS, and I've hit the ATS numerous times. But I think, to me, it's easier to hit the ATS than the 6-pointer.
Say that again. Make sure I got that right. It's easier.
For me, it's easier to hit the ATS than the 6-point fire bet, because you're setting your point, you're hitting it, and now you got to set a different point and make it, and you got to do that for all 6. Like I said, in my lifetime, I've hit it 3 times only.
I think in Ed's video tonight, he showed some pictures when you hit the 6-point fire bet.
Yeah, with the guy humping my leg. Oh my God! I mean, honestly, you can't make that stuff up. That was a true story, and I mean, I almost went off on that guy, but then I'm like, he doesn't know what he's doing. He's happy. Let's just let it go. But it's one of these days where everything's going wrong on the table, and you're hitting your points, and you're making money. It's like, why screw up a good thing? I just let it go.
I think of all the side bets, that fire bet's the hardest one, bar none. I like my favorite is the repeater. If you're throwing good, that repeater bet is the most doable, I think, because how many times you hit 5 5s, 5 9s, and not hit the tall or the small. Like if you're in a pocket, that repeater bet's where a good controlled shooter is going to make bank, and it's the one of all the side bets you can replicate yourself on a table without it. You just press it, press 5 times if you want to, be ballsy about it. That's my favorite of all of them. I think it's the only one that's actually exploitable.
Yeah, Paris had the repeater bets. They removed them since I've been there. But I used to kill the 9. I mean, when Heavy and others, would be on the table, they would just load up. I mean, we would put $50 on that repeater for the 9.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be like $50 on it from different people, because I just, I don't know why, but 9 is a good. I actually hop the 9 on the come out when I'm playing.
Wow.
9 times.
I mean, if you're in that groove, that's a smart bet. That's a thing. And I think controlled shooters get in those grooves, and it's a thing of beauty when it happens.
And people tell me, well, flip it, and you get the 5. It doesn't work like that.
No.
It doesn't work. I tried it. Trust me. I tried it. It doesn't work like that.
Did somebody say flip it?
I heard that, Adam.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, like the dice.
You picked up on that.
Like the dice set. Turn your dice around, flip them, and then you should hit the 5. And I'm like, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah. No, I would agree with that. Adam's flip it and your flip it were two different things. There's an East Coast thing over here with the flipping of the 4 and the 10 and how they do a bet progression, but that's a whole nother video and probably a whole nother topic itself. So anybody else with any fire bet stories that we could talk about? I've never hit a 6-point. I've hit a 5-point. I did set the 6-point on a live show last week and didn't even know that I did it, and I didn't hit it. But in any event, anybody else got some fire point?
I think Greg from 555 Craps hit the 6-point fire bet in a video. He was demonstrating adult strategy, and he hit a 6-point fire bet while filming that video. It was fantastic. Yeah, Greg's done 2 impossible things. He's done that, and he also hit the 9 times in a row. 9 or 10 times in a row, he hit a 10. He was showing the Jacob from Rage Me This, the anything but 10 strategy, and he rolled like 10 10s in a row, trying to show how that strategy works. It was like, are you kidding me right now? Like, it's the kind of thing that I would do, I guess, but. Yeah, to me, that's the most famous 555 moments ever.
Yes, yep. I did not know that about the 10s. I did not know that. Anybody else got a fire bet question?
Classic
comment.
I have hit all 6 points before my casino had a fire bet, but it paid out a straight 4,000 only to the shooter.
Oh, what kind of bet was that?
So I have it. It wasn't. It was just a bonus that the casino was running. That if you hit all 6 points, they just pay you $4,000.
Wow, not bad.
That was
just for showing
probably
up.
No bet required. Yep, it was just a flat bonus. Yep, and so I have hit the 6-point. I've hit 5-point. But the 6-point, again, was not actually on a fire bet. And then just in December, my buddy Rich hit a 6-point and a couple of 5 points. My playing partner, as you will.
All right. Anybody else have a fire bet story or comment about that? We got the answer from Gargoyle.
I know with the fire bet, I know that a lot of them have changed their payout, even the ones that are around, that it used to pay 1,000 to 1 or something crazy. But I believe most, if not all, have dropped it down to like 299 to 1, and just to avoid having to issue and then they'll pay down to 3, just 3 points instead of paying at 4, 5, and 6. They'll pay 3, 4, 5, and 6. So they distribute the money, and then they just pay it 299 to 1, so they can avoid issuing a W2G.
Good point. Good point.
Does that make it less palatable though? That reduction in top end payment. I mean, you're getting paid more often,
like you're saying, like our girls hit it 3 times his lifetime. So the good thing is you're getting paid more often when you're only hitting 3 points, right? But because it's hitting all 6. Whew. But I've never seen you're only getting 300 instead of 1,000.
Yeah, I've never seen it get hit.
Yeah, I have one casino that pays starting at 3 up to 300 to 1, and then 300 for 1, and then another casino that the other casinos I go to they don't start paying till the 4th fire, and they pay to 1,000 to 1 on the 6th.
Yeah, so those casinos are having to stop and issue right then and there, have to stop the game, issue W2Gs to everyone that obviously gets paid off. So it's interesting that some of those payouts are still out there, but yeah.
Right. I'd rather hit it twice and not have to get a W2G.
Jeff, you saw
they don't even have it where I play. So, but I mean, if you're good enough, I mean, hell, set them down points and hit that thing twice, and you don't get a W2G either time. That's pretty good to me. Because taxes,
Adam, you got to
25.
We were up in Atlantic City in April, right? And Jeff, you were at the table with me when the Randy Random hit 5-point fire bet.
Yes.
And I had been going up on that fire bet every single time, and I didn't go up that time. And then that same week that we were up there, Brian hit a 5-point fire bet super late at night, and he had $2 up on it. And they paid him $12.50, and then I guess the dealers had they dropped a couple of purples anyway. I don't know. I don't remember the story, but.
Yeah, well, I know when I was in Atlantic City with Arnell just a month or so ago, and he hit the 5-point. He and I had $1 up for the dealers, but there was a few other people that had a couple bucks up. They didn't have $5 like Arnell and I did on it. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Arnell was throwing his inline toss, I think, the entire time. He may not have started out that way, but there's a couple of other questions here that are queued up here about dice setting. I don't want to kind of like dominate the whole question about dice setting. Maybe we should just do one show and label it Dice Setters Title or whatever and go that route.
Dice Setters Anonymous?
Yeah, I almost said that, John. I almost said it. I didn't say that, though.
We need like a special prayer for that. Like, to launch this thing.
Yeah, really. You're exactly right. Let's see here. There was a question here. Some of the questions, guys, if you have a question, put a capital Q in front of it. I've been seeing some come in here I've caught that aren't with a capital Q. If you have a question for anybody on the panelists, put their initials in capital letters so I can pick that up there and I'll be able to queue the question up. There's another dice setting question here, so I'm going to put it out here. And then we're going to move on from the dice setting standpoint, because typically we talk about that in the after show because it can dominate the entire 2 or 3 hour show. So let me put this one up here. It comes from Rock. He wants to know, why are people afraid to change their dice sets when throwing on a live table? I often switch dice sets for different numbers I want to throw during the casino. I'm going to say the reason why I don't do that, Rock, is because I'm not trying to hit another number. I'm trying to avoid the number that ends the hand. Most dice setters that I talk to are people that are controlled shooters, or however you want to talk it. They're not trying to snipe the number to get that way. They're trying to avoid the bad number. Now, I could be wrong, but I think that's more or less. So what say the panel?
I can say for myself, unless I'm going for the ATS, and I mean that's in extreme cases. That I won't. I'm superstitious about it. But also, if I'm getting repeaters, I'm maxed up on it, like thousands of dollars, whatever the max is on that repeater, and just collect. Why would I shoot? Why would I change it? unless it's the AT for the ATS.
All right. Anybody else change their dice sets or don't change their dice sets?
I change mine quite a bit sometimes.
Well, I've seen you do it, Ed. Yes.
You know, not all the tables I play on are ATS. So if I'm not on an ATS table, I don't worry about it. I want to keep pounding the same number. Now, a long time ago, when I was probably uneducated in some of the ways, I wouldn't change sets until the come out. And I think if you're not really sure what you need to change to, changing it on the come out is probably the smart play, because I mean the worst thing you do is you throw a 7 and reset, and that way nobody loses any money. But you know, you've seen me throw my 2V a lot, that 2-1, 2-4. There's 21 different sets that I can use in that what we call the coaster chart, that I can use, and the probability of the 7 is exactly the same as if I were throwing the 2-1, 2-4. The thing is some of those sets give me a higher probability of tossing. I don't know, are you looking for a 12, or are you looking for a 9, or what are you looking for? Now, I mean, the worst thing in the world that happens, and it happens all the time, is all of a sudden you need a 6 and you can't throw a 6 to save your damn life. But that happens too. But I don't have a problem changing sets, because I know what my sets will do, and I know what the probability of the 7 is on any of the sets. And as long as they're the same, I don't have a problem changing it. Because if it throws a 7, and because I changed sets, it was going to be a 7 on my original set.
All right, Adam, go ahead.
So the exact same thing as Ed said. Ed put out a video probably about a year and a half ago, and Ed throws out a lot of nuggets. And if you don't pick up the nuggets in his video, you'll never understand what he's talking about. But he said something about a 7 being in the same spot on the sets. And so I sat down one day and I worked everything out. Well, you know, for me, and the way that I throw, 6-2-6-3, the 3-1-3-5, and the 2-1-2-3, the 7 is in the exact same spot on every one of those dice sets. So if I need a 12, I'm probably going to throw that 6-2-6-3. If I need the 4, I'm going to switch to a 2-1-2-3. And, you know, I mean, Jeff, you've seen me do some ridiculous stuff that people wouldn't change a dice set. And, you know, I'm shooting for the point every time I set the point. So if the point is a 4, I'm in a 2V. If the point is a 6 or 8, I'm in a 3V, and so on. And that works for me a lot of times.
Okay. Anybody else with dice sets?
Yeah, I'm the same. I'll change inside of a family. If I'm throwing a hardway set, I'll change a hardway set, and I've done it before to hit an ATS. Changed it, looking for the 12, through the 12 on the next one, went right back to the other hardway set that I was throwing, and just continued on with the roll. Yeah, as long as the 7s are in the same place, I have no problem changing the dice set, because I'm not really changing the 7 outcome. But I don't want to mess with trying to figure something out in the middle of a good roll, and it's like, oh, I can try to finagle something. It's not worth losing the money that's on the table to go for an ATS.
Right, I totally agree with that, Corey. 100%, I do that. All right. Anybody else have anything on the dice sets? Because I want to move on to talk about some meetups that are coming up and some meetups that have happened. Jeremy, you just got done with your DiceCon. It was a big success. I've seen your videos on it. I've seen Brian from Hawaii Crap Shooters videos on it. I was dual watching when you guys premiered that night on your on DiceCon, and then we'll go to John and talk about the meetup that's coming up here in September, not too far away. Then we'll go back to some questions. So what did you think of this DiceCon this year, Jeremy? Your mic's still muted.
Yeah, I mean, DiceCon's amazing whenever you get such a large group of dice fanatics together, right? It's just a good time. So I loved it. Got a lot of great feedback, but we're dice fans getting together to play craps in Vegas, right? What can be better than that? So, it's not much else to say. I mean, it just, it's the perfect city and, what we're doing. But I'm looking forward to getting around, especially looking forward to the Pacific Northwest meetup with John. So.
Yep. Yeah, I'm going to go to that next. Do you have plans for next year already underway, or?
We set the dates. Yeah, we set the dates. I don't know off the top of my mind, but it's in mid-June again, and it'll be. Yeah, it's a long process. A lot of planning goes into it, but it's a blast, so it's worth it.
All right, maybe one of these years I can make it out there. Traveling from the East Coast to the West Coast 4 or 5 times a year gets a little old for me, especially at my age and my height and my weight. But in any event, John, you've got your event coming up. Jeremy's going to be up there with you in September. Go ahead and talk about your event.
Yeah, it's the Seattle meetup. It's the Color Up Pacific Northwest meetup, and I'll be your gracious host out here. It's going to be fun. We've got actually Ian was talking last week with Snoqualmie Casino, which is one of our locals. It overlooks Snoqualmie Falls and the valley and all the mountains. It's one of the best settings you'll ever see to gamble at and also eat at. So we'll be there the first night, Friday, September 15th, I think the date is. For that night, it's a $5 table. We got a private table for us there. And then Saturday we'll be up at my local, which is Tulalip Casino, which is north of Seattle. It's about 30-40 minutes north. Nothing here is close, by the way. You come here, we're going to be doing some driving, so we'll get to have some conversations in the car. But that's the casino I always talk about with the glass tabletop, the plexi top and the microfiber. It's super, super cool. Working on them with a $10 private table as well, Saturday during the day. And then Saturday night we'll be at a place called McMiniman's, which is it's actually an old school elementary school that they've turned into a bar restaurant. So every classroom is a bar with a different theme. There's pool tables and dartboards, and there's outside fire pits. We'll go out there and hang out. Of course, we'll be at my house filming in the garage and playing on my table. I'll give you all the studio tour, and just gonna be fun. We have 2 private tables, and that's the extent of the craps part of it. We can play as much or as little as we want to around that. There's hikes out here. If you're into the outdoorsy thing, tons of great hikes around here. The mountain I got married at is right near Snoqualmie. It's about maybe an hour's drive from there. It's worth the drive and the hour-long ski lift ride to the top of this freaking thing. It's that long of a ski lift ride. It's worth it.
Wow.
Like, it's the best view you'll ever see in your life. Unless you climb Everest, it's the best view you'll ever see. Outstanding. So, nice. There's lots to do here besides just play craps. And Sunday we'll do a Mariners game. The Mariners are playing the Dodgers on Sunday, so we're going to get a group together and go watch Mariners. So, yeah, it's going to be great. Jeremy will be here. I'm here. I don't know who else is coming yet. We have some folks that said they're going to come, but I haven't seen tickets yet, so I don't want to say their names out loud. So far it's me and Jeremy and Jen and Ian.
All right. Well, I was going to ask you, do you need confirmation? Do you need confirmation on who's coming? Do you want to know people that are coming?
Yeah, Corey's going to be there, right?
Yeah, Corey, your audio is really messed up like a cell phone.
All right, good. That's 5. Yep. Let's go.
Yep. All right. Would you like people to email you or contact you and let you know definitely that you're coming or not?
For right now, yeah. You just use the Discord. There's a channel for it in Discord for right now. Because I was gone last week, I meant to last week put the website up, but I was obviously distracted with other things, so I'll do it this week. I'll get the sign-up sheet up and we can do that. There'll be a small fee, like $25. All of that is going to go to Craps for the Cure. I just want to have some skin in the game so I know you're coming. I'll buy you a shirt and a chip, and the rest of the money is going to go to the charity. So,
all right, okay,
yeah, should be fun.
So while we're on meetups, Corey, this question actually went out to you. From Arnell wants to know, has anybody heard anything about the August meetup? I haven't heard anything. I do know that I talked to Craps Master Journey Joe last week. He was talking about that meetup that's being set up by a hosting group and one of the Craps Nation people. However, our Northeast group that's in the Northeast of the United States that was traveling has changed their plans because one of the casino brands in Atlantic City is having a 10-tier weekend that weekend as well. So I know 4 or 5 people that were going have now canceled and are staying on the Northeast for the 10-time tier weekend. So I don't know what to tell you, Arno. Maybe you should reach out to Evelyn and see what she says. So let's move on to another question here. It seems like it always creates controversy. Dice Dr. Dan right there in Vegas wants to know, are all the casinos putting in the roll to win tables? I'm seeing a lot of them here in Vegas. We're seeing them all over the country. Not necessarily the roll to win, but a combination of the stadium craps and the roll to win. Anybody want to talk about that? And my question I would like to have for Gargoyle would be throwing dice on one of those roll to win or small bowl stadium craps. Is it how do you fare on that?
So a lot of the casinos are playing around with getting those simply because it's less people to manage it, right? It's less dealers on the table, and you don't have to pay dealers to stand around. I mean, it takes 3 dealers, a boxman, and a pit boss to manage one craps table, and if it's open. So they're trying to figure out, whether they can keep the craps game going with just less personnel. I don't want to ruin the next video, because I do mention it a lot in the next video. But I would say that I've had success at the roll to win on 2 of them in Biloxi. There used to be like several, but for some reason only on 2 of them, where myself and a friend of mine have hit the what they call the bonus one, where if you hit more than 50, you get it's like 5,000 to 1 or something like that, or 500 to 1. But pretty much we had quarter on it, and we got $2,500.
Nice.
So I forgot what the bonus bet on is it, but I've had multiple 60+ rolls, but my friend, he had 2 rolls way up in the 80s on them.
Wow.
To where one point when he started shooting, he hasn't even done anything. He just started shooting. The guy came from all the way up to him and says, "This is from the eye upstairs. Both die had to hit the back wall." He's like, "Well, they always do." And he's like, "I know, but they made me come and tell you." So he's like, "Okay." It's a different style, right? It's it's a different bounce, and you don't have the rail is way beyond, because of the screen, so you have to adapt to it. But just like everything else, if you learn how to adapt to it, you can fare well.
All right, no problem. John's asked me to do something while I have you on the screen there, and I don't know that I'm going to be able to do that on the fly here. John, go ahead and comment on what you want me to.
Testing your production. Is that Darth Vader behind you made out of Lego?
Fish. No, that's a cutout.
Okay.
I know they exist. Wow. I know they exist, and I tried, and I was like, "Look, I'm willing to write you a check," and they're like, "No, those are for particular things and stuff," and so no, that's a cutout.
Okay.
There, I tried, John.
You can buy. You got
it. You got it now, Jeff. All we see is the table. You got the Zoom guys way over to the side.
Yeah,
I have unleashed a monster. I have introduced you guys to Gargoyle.
I messed Jeff all up. There are some. There are some people that can do some stuff with Legos that is amazing. That's why when I saw that, like just in the corner of my eye, I thought maybe he made something really awesome.
Just so you know, his Lego collection is in the next video, so be sure and watch it if you like Legos.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So anybody,
I'm a computer programmer, we love Legos. That's what, programmers and Legos are like this. That's what it's problem solving 101. Love it.
I'm an enterprise architect. So,
you're talking about,
see, we're gonna be great friends. I'm trying to build some
talk about that
around
roll-to-win
AWS.
table. I
I'll give you a
mean, there's
call.
only one left in Biloxi, and I think only one left in Tunica. So
The one in Biloxi is at
disappearing.
Boomtown, right?
yeah,
we have
they're
none.
disappearing. I don't know.
Yeah, I have.
Craps?
They're highly expensive to rent, and they generally got low minimums on them, and they've got a nobody running the stick. And I don't know. There's been a lot of controversy. I mean, I know some places there's been some collusion in trying to beat that thing between the dealers and some of the players. But when that thing goes down, they can't fix it locally. They got to bring in technicians from whoever designed the damn thing to come in and fix it. So then it's dead floor space. So I'm not sure it's as good as everybody wanted it to be, and I'm not sure it's going to last as long as everybody thought it would. I was afraid it was going to take over, but they're taking them out where I go.
Yeah, I have tons to say about the roll-to-win machine.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
Well, from day one, I said it would never replace real craps. Now, I've heard John's rant recently about it, and I haven't seen that the case. I think his main point was you're getting rid of a real table and replacing it. I've never seen that. I've always seen it as an additional table they've added on as an option, right, as a cheaper option. But the problem is, like Ed has cleared up, because I'm talking to the two different table managers who have them. And yeah, I mean, I think it's like $1 million machine. So it's a huge lease. They only have 10 terminals. And as soon as it breaks down, their parts are coming from overseas. And just like everything else, there's a shortage and a backlog, and they can't get these things repaired how they want to. So they found that it's starting to be a money pit. Now on mine, I've done a ton of videos on my channel with Roll to Win, just because it's nice and it's $5, right? That's the great option about it, because you can go bubble machine, you can go roll to win machine, and obviously nothing competes with a real table. But even in my local machine or my local casino that I've done the videos with, they are going to replace it with the stadium craps. So they'll have a real table and just terminals. So I think that's where a lot of people are going. But I like that people are trying to give different opportunities to the game and different ways to play it. I'm a guy who loves, or not loves, I enjoy a good bubble crab game, right? When I could play it for $1 instead of a real table at 15, 25. So I like to have the option, and still the game. The game's the game. Yeah, I am seeing it seems like they're going away, and a lot more people are going to the stadium craps, where you can have a no maintenance real table, still only have one stick person who could be a blackjack dealer, doesn't know the game, but multiple terminals. So it seems like they're finding their legs here, these casinos, of what's going to work.
Let me ask you guys a question about that, because for all the reasons mentioned, I hate both those games because it's one dealer instead of a full crew. So I don't like the fact that they're job suckers. But I love stadium craps and I hate roll to win. And I don't know why. The energy at a stadium craps game is fun. People are having fun. They're running around. They're high-fiving. They're doing the thing. At roll to win, it's just it feels like it's just a downer. Like, those tables feel like everybody's on their last $50 and they're hating their lives. But the other one is always fun. And I don't know what that is. Like, what did Interblock do that made that game, the vibe, so different? It's a fascinating thing, because it does.
I think, John,
I don't know that that's necessarily the case. As far as jobs go, I've never seen anyone pull out a real table to put in an electronic table with one dealer. So in my experience, casinos are adding one job. They're not taking away 3 to add 1. So that's kind of the answer on that. And as far as the vibe, sometimes I see it that way, but I've actually seen the roll to win tables are crazy and people are high-fiving and stuff. So I think it's just the crowd who sits at it and the time.
Maybe it's
I've seen it pretty crazy at roll to win tables.
Everything. There's stuff. Maybe that's what I'm running in, like the 2:00 in the morning roll to win crowd. That's what they're left with. Versus
but it does definitely takes extra effort to get a vibe and a feel at those machines, because the terminals are separated and everyone's focused on their own terminal versus a real table. That's real easy to drum up excitement at a real table. So it does take the right type of crowd and right type of people to get that excitement level up on those other options. But I have seen it done for sure.
As a dice setter, I like that there are no chips in the way, and nobody comes in and puts money in the middle of the table, and the dealer doesn't mispay you to throw you off your concentration or any of that stuff. Where a lot of the stuff happens at the real table, but you're always going to have real craps table. I don't think the real craps table will go away anytime soon. But the casino's just trying new stuff to see how they can get the new generation to come out and play, because they like their phones and all that stuff, and so they're trying out new things. But I think the bean counters at the casinos are going to be the downfall of the casinos, because unless you put somebody in charge that's been going through everything in the casino and they know what to do. They hire people from the outside and they think they know what to do, and it just I've seen it just crash the whole casino. And unfortunately, you just have to kind of like put your seatbelt on, ride the roller coaster until they figure out all that stuff.
What I've seen between the roll to win and the stadium craps, you take like a Planet Hollywood, that section of where the stadium craps is. When I was there before, it would have been March or October last year, the whole area, they had more than just the 15 seats around the stadium craps. They had it connected. At my local here in Maryland, they actually did replace the table for two reasons. One, because of the staffing, and two, because they couldn't get enough people to work at the casino, so they brought one person in that could just be any type of dealer that can pull the stick in and do that stadium crap. So they did replace a table with a 10 or a 15 seat stadium craps, and they only have the real table open on weekends. So now I have to travel twice as far to get my local fix if I want to go out and play craps locally. So maybe in Vegas, since there's so much choices, but in some of these places where there's only a few casinos and they're putting them in, I noticed Arnell did say that Illinois said they're never going to have them, but it's interesting what people think.
We don't have them out here. There's no bubble or roll to win out here. Nothing, because everything out here has to be either live deal or table or a slot machine. And the slot machines in the Indian casinos have to be what they call digital bingo. So there's no way to make electronic game. There's no ETGs at all because they can't code them right, I guess. I don't know.
Ryan from Mark the Point says maybe it'll bring back the $5 tables back to the strip instead of have to go off strip or downtown. I don't know. I don't go to Vegas enough to do that, but that's something to consider.
So we have. I live here in DC, and MGM National Harbor is MGM's number 2 casino outside of Macau, right? They used to have stadium craps, dealer drop dice. They recently took that. Their tables, by the way, they have one $25 table, and they will run 9 $50 tables with a $100 table on the main floor on a Friday and Saturday night. I mean, it is ridiculous. I don't go to MGM. I've been a couple times, but they recently changed over the dealer drop slide stadium craps table to a shooter table. So you can pick up the dice and throw them. You can't set them. You can ask the stick man to put your favorite numbers on top. So he will put a 2 on top if you want a pair of 2s on top, and you can throw them. And that's just a little bowl. Maybe, I don't know, can't be more than 6 feet.
6 to 8 feet, most of those are.
Now, Baltimore at the Horseshoe, they have a 8-foot, it might be 10-foot, 8 or 10-foot stadium craps table. You can do whatever you want when you're the shooter. You can get up there and you have to throw from straight out. These casinos and Maryland Live, I also go there. I go to Maryland Live primarily, and they have that little 4 or 6 foot stadium craps. It's got the really bouncy floor on it. I don't like it at all. And I don't know too much about stadium craps, But I was on a table the other day, a regular craps table, and this guy who was next to me, he's real good friends with everybody. He plays a lot of money, and he was, BSing with the box, and the box is real friendly up there, MD Live. And he said, "How much does this table take today?" And the guy looked at him and he said, "Oh, I can tell you what it's taken since 12 p.m. last night. I can't tell you what it's taken in the last hour or whatever." And he looked at the guy and he punched some stuff into his little computer terminal that everybody has on the tables. And he looked at the guy and he said $250. So that one regular table, took in $250,000 in the since 12:01, and it was probably about 4:30 in the afternoon. They had played through $250,000 worth of money on one table. And MD Live has 6 tables, and I would say that on that day they had 4 tables open. So yeah, the craps table's taking some money here in the DC area.
So Adam, when you said that, is that roll to win or that's the stadium craps?
It's the stadium craps, but I think one of the reasons that casinos like the stadium craps is 2 reasons. One, they have multiple games, so you can drop a $25 don't pass on the stadium craps. You can go to roulette. You can put $25 on red. You can play 3 hands of blackjack, and then you can also play mini Bach at the same time.
Yep.
And there are people that do that. Like, I mean, Jen, for instance, right? She goes up there and she sits down and she puts some money in there, and she does her don't pass bets. Plays the don't, and she makes some money off from it. I've seen her do it multiple times. But there are people that play 5 or 6 games sitting at those interblock terminals because I think interblock makes the whole scenario, whether it's baccarat, blackjack, roulette, and the craps, and all the games are on these terminals. And there are people that just are so into gambling they do all of them.
Okay.
But that's my experience up here in the DC area, where there's 4 casinos in 70 miles with people that have a lot of money.
El Toro's still here. He's not on the video side, but he's in there. I went and looked at his chat up there. El Toro, can you speak up about your experience with the roll to win indoor stadium craps? Looks like the local tribal in your area has a roll to win now. See if he unmutes himself.
Oh yeah, they used to. I figured it out.
Okay.
Yeah, they used to have that, but they don't have it anymore. They just got regular tables. They have the stadium thing too. I don't play either one of them.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I personally I like the live table.
What are those table minimums now?
On what?
On the where your locals are at. What are your table minimums now?
$15. The $15 one's up here at the Choctaw, and I think WinStar is the same. I moved back to Texas, so now I'm closer.
Right. Okay. Anybody else on anything with the electronic wave of the future here with craps? I think it's been a very good debate listening to what Jeremy has said and what I said here on the East Coast compared to, I do know a couple casinos that had the roll to win that's taken it out. I don't know if they're going to replace it with the stadium craps. I was in Atlantic City at the Tropicana 2 weeks ago when they were installing the stadium. I don't know whether they got it working yet or not, but they didn't remove a table out of the way. They just were adding to their, like Adam says, their interlock section where they deal, they did have the little bubble craps, but also they deal with blackjack and baccarat and roulette. Mm-hmm. They added to that.
Yeah.
Hey, Jeff, I just had one more comment. We went to Atlantic City, and Resorts Casino has a roll-to-win table. Now, I went over there, Brian and I went over there, and the entire tabletop of the casino was like somebody dumped a beer on it and never cleaned it up, and it was just that sticky, like you touched it, nasty. It's subjective, right? So the dealer who was originally at the table for us, she was probably the 40-minute dealer, and then you had the break dealer, right? If the dice did not touch the back wall, it was a no roll, no matter what. If both dice didn't hit the back wall, it was a no roll. So we got the break dealer, and he came in, and I swear, the dice hit the table. They bounced straight up. One of them bounced straight up. The other one hit the wall. But one came up, came right back down. It was a 7. He said 7 out. And I said, what? And the guy who was throwing the dice was on a roll. They had ATS up there on that roll to win table. And Brian and I were standing right next to him. We looked at each other, and it's like, what? It didn't even hit the back wall. And so Brian's like, hey, that dice didn't hit the back wall. So they called the dealer or the pit or the manager over, the suit, and said, hey, dice didn't hit the back wall. So the guy says, the manager says, well, the dealer called 7 out. And I said, yeah. I said, your rule has been the entire time that if the dice don't hit the back wall, it's a no roll. And then this one particular time that the dice didn't hit the back wall, 7 out. So, they did their thing. They called upstairs, however you want to think about that. But, they came back down and said, the dice hit the back wall. It's a 7 out. I wrote the casino because they sent me an email that said, hey, please rate our casino. And I was like, first of all, it's like a 1980s trailer park. But, and I explained to him, hey, the good things, the drink girls were fantastic. If you wanted to drink, there was a girl there every 2.5 minutes, waitress, I should say. But I explained to him the situation of why. Yeah, exactly. But I explained to him the situation that, hey, the dice didn't hit the back wall in this thing. And they changed the rule because I said something about it. And the rule, from what he told me in the email, was as long as it is a legitimate throw of both dice going to the back, a legitimate throw, then it will count no matter what, even if it's a 7. And, I haven't been back. He also said that he called they put in a work order to call the company that services the machine to come in and clean the entire deck because he went and checked it and confirmed that it felt like it was sticky. So sometimes you get a good boss, a good pit that, checks things out and does their job. You can't, if the rule is the rule, it's the rule. But when they start wavering and doing other things, then, it makes the game less fun because you don't know what to expect.
No, right. Well, I do know we talked about collusion a little while ago. Somebody mentioned that they had some issues with collusion. I know that they've changed the stadium craps now so that when the dealer pulls it over under the camera for it to be displayed, and John, you probably know more about this, there's a way for the camera to read the dice to confirm that when they punch the numbers in that actually takes place. So that was something that was added recently.
Yeah, nothing happens until it's double confirmed now on the stadium craps.
Stadium, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, the biggest thing I've seen, the problem with the roll to win is sometimes they have timers and sometimes they don't, and they can turn it off. But how most of the casinos got taken, well, one was dice sliding before they put the ridges in. But number 2 was, and I've actually, I don't know, I probably shouldn't say too much, but I've seen casinos, let's say it that way, where the dealer will push, because they don't know the game, right? They're pulled off of Baccarat or something. So the dealer will push you the dice before they lock out no more bets, before they just push a button that locks out your terminals. So what people do is they take the dice, they throw them real quick, they see that it's a 6, they put in their bet afterwards, basically past posting, before the dealer can do it. I mean, really, that's the only thing that, and I've talked to the manager, I'm like, that's the only thing that they have to be trained to do. Rest lock before you push the dice. That's the only thing they have to worry about. And it still gets through sometimes, and some dealers don't do it. And that's really, I mean, I guess you can call it advantage play or cheating or whatever, but that's how they get taken. And so that's a problem for those machines as well.
Gotcha.
I've actually seen casinos put sticky material on top of the roll to win so that you don't slide the dice, even if there's bumpers. But some of the ones in Biloxi, at least last time I was there, not only do they pass the dice in front of the camera, but they also go like this, just to confirm. And they said that they had to do that because of some of the collusions that have been going on.
Yeah. Well, we read a lot of stories about that in the initial roll to win tables that came out, that there was a lot of colluding. I don't know why somebody would want to jeopardize their job, let alone maybe a jail stint of some sort. But wow, it's interesting. Guys, we've still got some time left in tonight's show. If you have a question for any of the panelists, please put it in the capital Q. We'll be glad to get back to that question. We got a good panel on the line. Right now, I have not talked to Tony, and I have not talked to Craig. So, Tony, B, you are muted. Welcome to the show. Don't know if you have anything you'd like to add before we move on to the next question.
Actually, I did have a comment or a question, if you don't mind me asking.
Sure. Go ahead. As long as it's a clean question, it's craps related. I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Sure. Actually, I'd like to welcome John back, and again, my condolences for the loss of his father, and also for those on the panel, and for a lot of those watching. I've watched a lot of videos, and I learned a lot about craps. And actually, there's actually one person that has a YouTube channel, Jacob from Wager Me This, and it kind of relates to John's channel and what he's been doing on his show recently on trying to win $500 a day based on a $5,000 bankroll. And Jacob actually tried to do this. I don't know if you'll heard about this, but he actually tried to do this with a $5,000 bankroll, and he just really said he couldn't do it with that level of bankroll.
Yeah, we actually had him on the show about a month ago. He was on the show and talking about that very same thing. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I probably missed that when I was out of town for a couple of weeks, and really what he said is, and I was actually going to ask you if you actually had him on the show to discuss that, but I guess you did. But he really said he probably needed about a $20,000 bankroll to make that happen. And I wanted to kind of get your thoughts on that. And I guess that's kind of what John's doing now. He's trying to build up a 100K bankroll to try and go out and try and make that his master bankroll. Is kind of what Ken from Kendall's Gambling talks about, is kind of that is his reserve, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. No, I'll let John answer in a second, but we did have Jacob on, and it was interesting that day because he's a YouTuber that shoots single video from a cell phone, and he was actually talking about some of the things that he had done recently, and he was going to move him back into revamp his 6, 7, 8 strategies, which he's done since then. But he did actually talk about that $5,000 difficulty was, and sometimes when he's shooting videos, he actually has to reshoot the video because the video is too good. He doesn't want to show it. He just want to show it that people would actually see that it's that good of a strategy, or that he actually got a lucky roll out of it. So that's one of the things I gave Jacob offline kudos for that he actually didn't show a video just because it was so prosperous. He just thought that was unusual, so he reshot it. But Jacob's been on the show twice, and hopefully we'll have him back, and hopefully we can ask him that. So John, you're doing this to address Tony's point.
It's enormously hard to win 10% on the regular. It's enormously hard to do that. And the only reason why a big bankroll is required to do it is because if you're going to literally try and make $500 a day or whatever the number is,
that's what Arnold says. Yep.
You have to ladder it, right? You have to ladder it up. That's the only way that bankroll helps you, because having $20,000 and saying, well, now I'm going to go 320 across, and if I blow it, I have 72 more chances at it. That's not the answer. That's not why bankroll helps you. Bankroll helps you if you're going to ladder the losses and work the bankroll to make the bets more meaningful. If you're just trying to go out there with some right side play and luck into $500 a day, you'll never get it done. If you're going to play the straight don't like I've been doing on my show, it's almost impossible. Like some days I had 200 and something rolls before I made $100. Right? It's so freaking hard. And there's going to be, I think I went 19-0, and I'm like, right? This is great. Welcome to the show. And then I had like 3 days in a row where it took me 3.5 hours, me rolling every 10 seconds to barely break even. It's so hard to win 10%. The focus of that show is to teach A, that it's hard, B, that every strategy sucks in the end, and C, the minute you get up, you got to get if you're on a mission to build a bankroll, you got to get the hell out of there, right? If you can win extra, like the one day I did, and turn your extra into something amazing, that's where the secret is. Right, making that 10% hard enough as it is. You make 20 and turn the extra 10 into a couple $1,000. Bet like Ed with your extra money, you can do great. But boy, oh boy, is it hard to roll some YouTube strategy out there 30, 40, 60, 100 days in a row and make 10%. It's hard, and I'm glad that my show is. You see, I broke a stick on that show already. I'm swearing like a sailor. It's hard. It's very frustrating to do something that okay. Don't pass with max odds. I'm sure as hell I can throw some sevens today. Nope. Burned 2K one day just with that bet. You know what I mean? It's a frustrating exercise in futility, ultimately. It's like Jeremy said earlier, every strategy loses eventually. And
yes,
if you can learn anything from me, learn that. Learn that you're not going to make a living doing this.
Right.
Yeah, a hard way to make an easy living.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to put this up here to clarify myself for what Connor said. He said, you mean that he did a good result and would have made the strategy look better than it is. No, he actually did the opposite. He thought it was an anomaly that he did that well with it, so he didn't want to put that video out, so he recorded it 2 more times and took the medium of the 3 rolls and then released that video. Because we've talked about this a lot. There's a lot of YouTube channels out there now, craps channels, and 200 plus, and if you add in the ones that cover all the games, it's 230. You've heard me say this enough times. That there's just some out there that just reshoot videos until they get what they wanted. Jacob in this time didn't do that. He thought it was an anomaly and he rolled back out. And every strategy will lose, and give it enough time, and every strategy has a hole. So, anybody else on this? Ed, were you going to say something else?
Well, yeah. I mean, I start off with it's a hard way to make an easy living. And probably El Toro, if he's still on, can talk about that because he does it a lot. But I don't know if anybody on this panel has ever sat down and figured out what they would need to do this as a bankroll. I'm not talking about a buy-in. I'm talking about a bankroll for full time. I mean, let's just say you want to win $300 or $400 a day. I've sat down and calculated it. I would need a $300,000 bankroll in the bank before I was comfortable going out trying to win $300 a day. And I consider myself an advantaged player. But you're going to have days. I mean, if you go out there and you win 500, hey, you're 200 up on your goal. The next day you walk into a casino, you're down 1,000 before you turn around good. So now you got to overcome the 1,000 and still try to win your 300. So it's not easy. It is a hard way to make an easy living.
Yeah. You can go 28-2 and be even for the month.
Yep. You've shown that, John.
Right?
I mean, I don't care what Tony Leo says. This hard as shit to do.
It's super hard. But you got to have those you got to have the miracle days, right? The one day last week I had a miracle day, right? I won $170. I said, let's go 64 across, and that $70 turned into $2K on it because I had a monster roll. And I'm like, that's how you get lucky.
The thing is if you're doing it for a living, you got to have extreme discipline. And I've only met a couple of guys in this world that actually have the discipline to play it. The discipline is the key.
Well, that's what I'm getting ready to tell you guys.
I know I don't have this one. I'm a damn gambler. But you got to be able to take it down. I've played with guys that go 2 hits and down, 3 hits and down. I've had guys that I played with that would take, and I'm shooting and I'm trying to hit the ATS, and the next thing I know, they've already taken their bets off the table. I'm like, what the hell are y'all doing? But there's the discipline.
Yeah.
It's the discipline piece. That's
Well,
the thing that nobody hardly has.
And you can
Nobody
take
hardly.
it
100%
like
true.
you can
That's
take
100%
the
true.
month-long track to the minuscule and say, well, 28-2 over the month, you're down money. If you're doing 1 or 2 hits and down, and you drop whatever it is out there, 320, and you get a PSO, well, now you need 6 hits. It's not 1 hit and down anymore. Now you need somebody to overachieve just to break even again, and that's where this becomes enormously hard, especially if you're.
And the other problem I see with the strategy bettors.
I don't know if I'm muted.
I'm not a strategy bettor.
Yeah.
They
hold
want
on
to
one
bet the
second,
same
Toro, I'm coming back
strategy
to
on
you.
every swinging dick at the table instead of on the guys that have some kind of advantage with their toss. Not that they're going to hit it. I mean, everybody PSOs, but you can't bet the same strategy on every person at the table and expect to net a profit. It's just not going to happen very often.
Correct.
In my opinion.
Yeah. Hold up one second there. I know Gargoyle wants to make a comment, and El Toro's come in here a couple times. We'll come back to you in just 1 second, Gargoyle. Go ahead, El Toro, with your comments you wanted to make. Your audio is on.
Okay, so yeah, to everybody's point, is it hard to make a living? Yes, it is. And the reason it's hard to make a living is not because the game. It's not because the strategy. It's not because being like me, an advantage player. No. And Ed hit it, and I've said it multiple times on my videos. The problem is it's the people. We are greedy individuals by nature. You think it's never going to end. So when you make money, you think that you're on a roll, and you keep on going. What you have against you is time. This is not a 9-to-5 job, guys. Trust me, I don't go 9 to 5. I go in, I make what I want to make, and I leave. I'm done. It's not for everybody. Do you need a $50,000 bankroll to make $500 a day? Absolutely not. Anybody who's an advantage player can tell you don't need that much. You don't need that much at all. You just need to be disciplined enough to be able to walk away from the table when you have gotten close enough to your deal. If you got it set in stone like a 10 commandment, and you got to have $500, if you're at 480, if you're dumb enough to keep going for that extra $20, well, then guess what? You're getting ready to lose $480. If you're within striking distance, walk away. That's the problem. Everybody gets greedy. I've seen too many people do it myself. That's how I started.
Yep. Nope. I totally agree with that advice and that comment. Gargoyle, did you have a comment to add?
I was just going to say what Toro said. You don't need, doesn't take 50,000, 100,000, 150,000. It takes the discipline to sit there at the craps table and watch a 30-roll hand and just keep the money in your rack because you already made what you need and going to the next shooter. It takes a lot of discipline. And then when you make it, you just get your, hot table, just take it and walk away. I've tried it for a period of time. A long time ago, and I stopped because it's not for me. It's not for me. I'll just now go to the casino, play, do my thing, and then go home in certain periods.
So, what time of the day do you like to play?
It is for me.
I play very, very early, 4 o'clock, 4:30, 5 o'clock, where there's nobody on the tables, and I use an envelope system. And I have stupid money. My stupid money is in my pocket, where if I'm walking in the middle of the day or at night and I see lots of people, good scenery at the table, I buy in, put a $15 pass line, chit chat with folks. That's my stupid money. Or, put it in a slot machine. I have my bankroll and I have my fun, stupid money to do. But you won't see me at a table at, 10 o'clock at night or 11 o'clock at night. Usually 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. By 9 o'clock, I'm out of the casinos. I'm doing something else.
Wow. I'm not laughing at you. I don't see 5 o'clock in the morning. I don't get to the table till around 11, 12, 1 o'clock. I like to sleep in. I don't want to be tired and sleepy when I'm at the table.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
I don't want others. I don't want others the table chips, and I want the dice to come back to me quick because I may see something and I'm going to switch up.
No, I get it.
Well, the reason why I asked you that, Gargoyle, is because most of the players that I know that are like you have that same answer. That's the reason why I always ask that question. A minute ago, Jeremy, when Ed was saying what he was saying, and both Gargoyle and El Toro said what they said, you were kind of like shaking your head, agreeing with them about trying to do it with a living and making the kind of money that it takes. Was you shaking your head at something you're working on, or were you agreeing with something that they had to say?
I don't know if I was agreeing with what they were saying. I haven't met. Sounds like El Toro is saying he makes a living off of it. I've never met or heard of anyone that makes a living just playing dice. So, whether you have, it seems like it should be logical, right? If there's plenty of advantaged throwers, right, that say they can shoot less than 1 out of 6, right? So, I don't know the math on that. I'm sure maybe Ed does, or some of you others do. Like, does that take it down like a line bet from 1.4 to 1 or whatever it is? You lower the percentage, the house edge, whenever you gain the percentage of 7 every 1 in 7 rolls or whatever it is, right? But to overcome that, there's still so many factors of the bankroll, the gambling, the when you take your bets down, and all that sort of stuff plays into it. So, very difficult game to win at consistently. And I've never heard of it, of a professional craps player. I mean, I make a living off of it. There's plenty that do, teaching, selling books, whatever. But playing the dice, I don't know. I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear from someone who does.
Well, I think what Tony B, who's left us, and he said thanks for that, is that he was talking about what Jacob did, and he actually tried to prove it to himself when he went to Colorado, and then he came back and tried to do it on his videos, and he still couldn't do it. So I think the point's very well taken. Go ahead, El Toro. I cut you off. I apologize.
No, quite all right. So I guess maybe we can redefine what making a living is. So depends on what someone's definition of that is. Is someone's definition of making a living $1,500 a month, $2,000 a month, $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month? What is it? Can you make a living? Sure. It just depends on what is your cost of living. Do I go to the casinos and win every time? Absolutely not. I lose money. Sure, I do.
Okay. Well, I mean, making a living in America, depending on which region you're living in, you're looking at, probably 30,000 to 50,000. So
a year
at minimum, right? A year. So
yeah, you can do that.
You can do that. Are you claim to do 50,000 a year in profit?
Do it? Yeah, I actually do more, but yes.
Okay. So you're one person who claims to.
It's one of a million. Yeah. So there's not a lot of people that actually can do this. You're right. It requires a lot, and that's what I was saying. It's not the person. It's actually having the dedication to walk away from this table. When you're up, you're up. Don't keep going unless you just feel like losing money. I mean, you're talking about like the house odds and the house edge, right?
That's the point I was making.
The house never loses.
With controlled shooting, you do, if you can gain a small edge, it's still a small edge. So you can't just go in and just play like a crazy person.
Correct. And I'm not dissing you or downing you. I have a lot of respect for you. First off, a lot of respect for what you do. So what I'm saying is that when you talk about house edge and percentages, there is one thing in there that I guess we don't really address. And the house edge, and I believe this is based on length and time of play. Is the house edge the same? This may be something for you to look at. Is the house's edge the same for a player that goes in like me and stays for 2 hours versus the player that goes in and stays for 7 hours or 8 hours?
Well, you're talking to a guy who doesn't really believe in the house edge. That's over a period of infinity. So even a random guy like me knows I can win because with bad bets over a 2 hour period, a weekend, a lot of people will only play 10 days out of the year, right, as a recreational player. So I'm not a big house edge guy in that respect. So obviously time spent at the table, the more you play, the more the house edge comes into play.
It does. And that's why I said, for me, when I look at it, it's like, yes, can you make an amount of money with a smaller bankroll? Sure. To me, the way I look at it is like this, and I've always looked at it like this. The bigger the bankroll, the bigger the win if you bet bigger. The bigger the bankroll, the bigger the loss if you're betting bigger. It's a double-edged sword. But if you know when you're going to play and you win and you get out, I think you're really increasing your odds of having a profitable month. If you don't know when to get out, then to me, you're just gambling, purely just gambling. I think it's irresponsible doing that, thinking that it's never going to end. That's not even realistic, right? I look at it and say, look, if you're up $400, $500 and your win goal was to be at $600, $700, you're close enough. Walk away. It's not going to happen. If you could have gotten there by now. You don't need to continue playing for 5 hours, 6 hours. That's why most people can't do this to make a living. Now, the other reason why people don't do this to try to make a living is because there's no insurance. Casinos aren't paying you health insurances. Most people need insurances. I'm very fortunate that my wife works, so we have health insurance. I'm able to do that. Right? Well, I have a little freedom there.
I can push back on some of that and ask, and I love what you do, is for those who say my problem is if you do have an advantage, why can't you continue to exploit that advantage? I know to some degree you have to, if you win 500 for the day or whatever, you got to walk away. But why do most people still have a second job? Why don't they go all in? And the insurance part, it's just like me as a self-employed person, you earn enough to then pay for your insurance. Right. So,
but most people don't see that. Most folks don't. Most folks are trying to do what they see or what's touted out here on these shows is I want to quit my 9-to-5 job and I want to go to the casino and make a living just like they do. But they don't know what we do as call it business owners, self-employed. You're all in. You're putting all of your money and 100% of your bet on yourself, your skill, your ability, and the amount of time that you put behind the dice practicing. I've said it multiple times, and I believe even I forgot this guy's name that I just saw today. Practice is the deal, man. If you don't practice, I have said it before once on my videos. If you haven't practiced enough, you don't have the right to pick up the damn dice and try to make a living. You might as well just throw your money in the toilet. Right. I mean, you got to practice.
Say that again, Ed.
No, El Toro's 100% right. If you're not practicing, you're not going to make it. There's no way you're going to make a living at this. You might get lucky one or two times. I got an email box full of people that get lucky, and then all of a sudden the well goes dry. And they want to know what the hell happened. I mean, they want to know why did I go dry? Why am I having this bad streak? Well, even the best have bad streaks.
Absolutely.
If you can't power through it and you can't take advantage of your own play over a length of time, and like he said, like El Toro said, if your goal is 500 and you're at 480, are you going to bet on the next swinging peckerhead that's throwing the dice? You stupid if you do. No. You need to go ahead and take that 480 and take it to the bank and cash it in.
The win goal is nothing more than that. It's just a goal. And if you can achieve your goal, fantastic. Right?
I agree with the man 100%.
And Jeremy, in your defense too, in Jeremy's defense, here it is too, right? Jeremy, I think you have actually gone now full-time doing what you're doing, right?
Right.
Yeah, because you're no longer, I can't remember what you used to do, Philip. It was like video something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it took you a while before you got comfortable enough in what you were doing to be able to do this full-time to replace your income, yes?
Right.
It was scary, but you weren't sure what you were going to do. You weren't really exactly sure how much money you were going to make, but it took time. Your mindset's a little bit different, though, because you're pretty disciplined and you're set in your own skill set. You decide how you're going to do it. And I would say you're probably that kind of guy that says, all right, I'm going to go do whatever it is you do. Talk to the casino every single day until you get somebody to put you under contract. And after that, then you're going to do your YouTubes and you're going to be dedicated and committed to do what you do. Yes? Not everybody can do that. Not everybody can do that. And I'm one of them. For example, I had started my YouTube channel just for the hell of it. I don't have enough time and dedication to be a YouTuber. It's just not for me. It's not what I do. It was digging too much into my own practice time and my own time at the casino, trying to come back to try to make a video. It's just, it doesn't, to me, it wasn't worth it.
So I think that kind of point of view actually helps me understand a lot, because in my world, I see that a lot, right? So for every 99 YouTubers that start or whatever, there's only going to be 1% that can make a living and follow through and take all the aspects, the discipline that it takes. So you just see, when you kind of overall see all the dice controllers and shooters trying, you're looking at the 99%, I guess, is what you're kind of getting at, of people that are in different stages, or they're just starting, or they have hopes and dreams, but they're never going to put in the commitment or whatever.
It takes a lot to do. It takes a lot to do what you do, Jeremy. And you know it. You're behind you. Once this camera goes off, you know how much time and how much effort you put into being successful as Color Up. It didn't just happen overnight. No one here has been in your shoes and rode the journey to see just how you got to where you are with almost 1 million viewers. Are you at 1 million yet?
No. Close to 100,000.
100K. Congratulations on that. That's a pretty good feat.
Yeah,
For
and
me,
Jeremy,
nobody sees the road I had to walk to do what I'm doing either. They think that you just wake up one day, you go buy a practice rig, start throwing dice for a few hours, and all of a sudden, guess what? You're an advantaged player. Well,
yeah, that makes sense, because you see so many people just basically saying that, like, oh yeah, just hold the dice like this, and basically you're making a living.
Yeah, that's pure bullshit. Okay, I'll just tell you that. Anybody, and again, I always caution people when I see these things online. When this thing first started, there probably wasn't but maybe 15 of us on YouTube. All of a sudden, it became a YouTube marketplace. Everybody wanted to start a show. Everybody wanted to be a master dice setter, an influencer, a bettor, strategies with all kinds of millions names, which have all been done before, right? And then all of a sudden, people started selling shit. All right, well, they're in it for commerce, and I'm not going to begrudge somebody to make profit on that, right? But to do that and then say, hey, yeah, I'm a professional craps player. Well, no, you're not. You're trying to market something and sell something. That's what you are. You're not playing craps. I don't see you out there doing it.
Yeah, you're a professional YouTuber.
I have yet to see somebody, when I'm at the table, they're up and I'm up about $1,500. I walk away, go get coffee, grab a sandwich, come back, and guess what? They're still there and their rack is empty.
Yep. They give it back.
Go ahead, Gargoyle. They give it right back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Gargoyle.
What I was going to say, it's a short-term advantage for people like myself, for example, an advantage player. It's a short-term advantage. That's why I get up in the morning and I play maybe 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and then I'm out. I don't go to the tables again. You know, because it doesn't matter whether there are people at the table or not. The longer you're at the table, the more likely is you're going to lose. That's why the people and the owners in the casinos, they want you to stay in the casino. They want you to stay at the table. That's why they bring you everything you want to you. You want coffee, they bring it to you. You want, they want you to stay there and play. The longer you're at the table playing, the more likely you're going to lose. It's a short-term advantage, and if it's not working, if I have a losing session, I walk away loser, and I go regroup. I go figure out, okay, what do I need to do, and then but and again, I practice. Like I'm a casual player now, right? I go to casinos every now and then. I still practice at least an hour to an hour and a half every day. It's not like I forgot how to throw the dice, but I make sure that I throw the dice at least an hour to an hour and a half every single day. When I first started on not this table, but the one that I built, if you see my video, 4 hours every night. I'd come home from work, I'd kiss the cat, feed my wife, or the other way around, and go downstairs and practice because I wanted to get good. And this is for everyone. You get out of this what you put in. Period.
Gargoyle,
If you don't
what's
put
your
anything in it, you're not going to get anything out of it.
Gargoyle, to interrupt you here, because this was the question of the topic was, I think they were saying you need $50,000 to make $500 a day. Just to humor me, what do you think would be your bankroll needed to be able to make, call it $200 a day? Ups and downs.
I don't think it's a question of bankroll. It's a question of whether do you really have an advantage or not. And every person has to look in themselves in the mirror and be honest with themselves.
Great answer.
It's not a question about a bankroll. If
Great
you
answer.
believe you have an advantage, you can go in with $15 and make money.
That's exactly right. So in my old videos, I play with a buddy of mine. I call him Big Money Mike. Call him that because he's got tons of money. And when we go, I'll buy in, usually about $1,500, $2,000 at the table, just when I'm with him, because we play just to play and have fun. He'll buy in for $5,000. I'll be up like $1,000. He's down $2,000, $3,000. Same roll, same everything. What's the difference, guys? It's the individual. The individual, the person, discipline. I know when to turn my bets off. I just figure out, hey, I'm going to turn them off, or I bring them down, or I just stop betting. Just because you're there doesn't mean you have to bet on every swinging dick at the table. You don't have to.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I'm gonna inject this real quick because I think I know what he's talking about. Ken from Ken Knows Gambling joined us, and for those of you that know Ken's unfilteredness, you'll appreciate some of this. But he says a couple of his comments were 100% of money coming in is gambling for a living, and then he also goes when you all were talking about no insurance, no job, no wife, all gambling, and then he comes up here and says that if you have never done it without a parachute, he's talking about gambling for a living because he's tried it. You don't know what you're talking about. There's no offense to anybody that is there. And then his last comment that Ken said was, you have a G Master and then a session bankroll. So for those of you that know what Ken's talking about, I think what Ken's trying to reiterate is what Gargoyle, Ed, and El Toro have said. And then I like the way that Jeremy put about the analogy of when I started this, there was 60 YouTube channels. Now there's 200, and not everybody's going to succeed. I'm not doing it to make a living. I'm retired, and I just enjoy what I'm doing, like hosting the show. But when I go out and play craps, I don't go for entertainment value. I don't go to party with everybody. If I do, I like that line that Gargoyle said about his stupid money. I think that's what he called it. I like to have that money too, but I don't want to go to lose money. I want to go to make money.
Right. Have I ever said that before?
I want to make sure. I want to repeat what I said earlier. I think people missed it. I tried what El Toro's doing. I tried to play craps for a living. My wife works. We have insurance, everything medical. I tried it. I did not have the discipline because it stopped being fun for me to get on the table, and it took all the fun out of it because it became a job. And so I stopped.
So, a quick little story. Before my wife got a job, because my wife hasn't worked in years, this was tough. It was stressful. It was a job, and it was difficult to go have fun. Finding the outlet is hard, especially when it started out as something fun. Then it became a job, right? Now, my kids are out of the house. We're empty nesters. Sitting around the house with the best looking yard was great, but guess what? Now we both had to figure out what to do. So my wife said, hey, I'd like to get a job. I said, go for it. Do it. And, the perks of that, of course, are you get health insurance, right? You get dental insurance. You get all kinds of stuff. But more importantly for me, what it did is it took a lot of stress off. So when you're playing loose or relaxed, and there's not the weight of the world on you, all of a sudden making that decision to walk away is so much easier. There's no stress that, oh shit, I'm down $300 right now. What am I going to do to go back and make up this $300 plus another $300, a $600 swing? And then, okay, well, I'm going to go run to the ATM machine, go grab me another $2,000 and try to make this up, because here we are, Clark Griswold and all. We're ready to go. Vegas vacation. No, sir. That does not happen.
Do you think you can beat me, Clark?
That's awesome.
Yeah,
but I'm just saying, it made a huge difference in my world. I got to tell you, it made a huge difference in my world.
Yeah. Well, here's a question for you, El Toro. Here's a question for you, El Toro. Hold on one second, Ed. We'll get back to you just one second. There's somebody, Dave P. wants to know, do you make money on your roles or other players? You sort of answered it, but can you answer that question? Then I'll yield to Ed that was trying to ask a comment.
I make money on my own throws.
Do it.
If I play on someone else's rolls, I'll make money on them if I get lucky. But 9 times out of 10, those other shooters are not advantaged players like me, and they follow the basic rule of 1 out of every, what is it, Jeremy? 1 out of 6.21 rolls, or you get a 7 and you're out. You try to play within that 1, 2, 3 rolls is like the short game, but every now and then you get smacked around if you continue to do that. It's 0.7 outs are going to happen. It always does. Point 1 shot, 7 out. 3 rolls, all 3 of them happen to be extremes, horn numbers. Then you get a 7. It's the same thing. So I prefer not to play on other people's rolls. That's just me.
So I've got a question about that. I do very well generally throwing the dice, but so take yourself. PSOs come.
Yeah.
How does that factor into your game?
I shake it off. I got to shake it off. As I'm a pretty good shooter, a pretty good advantage player, but it happens. I just shake it off and just laugh it off and go, okay, well, fuck me, I got to start all over again. Usually I'm down right then and there, 0.7 out, I'm down, $400, 1 shot. Okay, we've got to wait till I got the dice again and start all over. I have more confidence in my own throw than someone else's.
I hear that
so
all the time.
Here's the thing. Craig, I met Old Bay Craps again today. He came up and when I walked up to the table, he was playing his game and he was doing his thing. And then I got the dice because I came in, bought in, did my thing. And he switched up his game for my roll. And it was the first shot of the day. And it was probably like either it was a PSO or it was 2 rolls and out. Just unfortunate. And, things like that happen. Even though that the guy that is your best friend shoots well, practices, does his whole thing, it happens, right?
Yeah. But I guess the difference between that and myself is when I go by myself, it's business. When I go with Big Money Mike, it's pleasure. I don't go to lose. I go with the expectation that I'd like to win. That'd be nice. But when I go with friends, I got to tell you, it's pretty difficult to say, everybody's out having fun, everybody's drinking, we're rowdy, and all of a sudden, hey guys, got to go. I know I've been here for like an hour. See ya. It doesn't work. It depends on why you're going to the casino and what your end game is, right? If you go by yourself and you're going to go to make money, then that's what you're going for. That's your purpose. Somebody's tagline, I think. That someone's tagline. Shit, I go to have fun sometimes. But someone's tagline, I think, is what is it? Practice like you play like you practice.
It's Ed's.
Oh, never heard that before.
Somebody's tagline is that. I'm not sure. But that's actually, there's some truth there. If you're going to go to do this and you really want to do this for a living, go and do it like a business. Treat it like such. Don't treat it like a hobby, because hobbies don't make money. Hobbies cost you money. They're fun, they're enjoyable, but it's nothing but an outflow of cash.
All right. Great conversation.
I will tell you that today I went to the casino. I went to Maryland Live, and a guy I know who throws 6s and 8s like crazy. Right, that's his thing. He throws a lot of 6s and 8s, and so I was down a little bit, and I dropped $90 6 and 8, so 180 on the 6 and 8, and he hits a 6. So I'm a full press, right? First hit, no matter what. If I'm a $15 table, it's 18. We're going to 42. Second hit makes me money. I'm pulling back 50 for 1, right? So you take that same sort of mentality, and the guy's killing it on the 6 and 8s on his rolls. So $90, 6 and 8, 180 on the 6 and 8. He hits a 6, full press, pull back the change, go to 180 on the first hit. Doesn't matter which one it is, whether it's a 6 or an 8. Second one, I'm going to 210 no matter what, because I'm going to pull back a little bit of money, but I'm going to set myself up for that 420 hit.
Sure. So stopping you right there. Stopping you right there. How much do you got on the table?
So how much do I have on the table?
Yeah.
So out of the 180, I have pulled back. I'm sorry, I've gone to 180 on one because I did a full press.
Sounds to me like you got almost $300 on the table based on what you just said.
Yeah,
right?
Basically.
Okay, so this is exactly what I'm talking about. Right at that point right there, buddy, I'd have turned my bets off. Forget having to go to 400. You're already where you need to be. You started out with a $60. Actually, not even that. You started out with $32 on the table. Is that what you did?
No. I started out with $180 on the table, and I went straight to 180 on the first hit, whether it was a 6 or an 8.
Yeah, so you pulled back 100 plus and 300 on the table. You're at $400. I just already said turn off my bets. I'm down. There's a difference there. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You're going because you're saying, hey, this guy's been throwing. You're betting it on the past. The past was that previous roll he just had that you saw 9 players ago or 9 tosses ago. He threw 6s like he was killing them. He was murdering them. Now you think that based on the past, the future is going to hold true. He's already hit 2 or 3 for you, but now you're ahead, but you're caught up in the excitement, so you're not pulling down all of your money. I would have already pulled it all down and said, yep. And guess what? If I miss it, I miss it. But 9 times out of 10, here comes your 7. You're done. That's the difference between a casual player and a professional player.
Well, my point is that people don't get third hits on a number. So the first hit, it goes to 180, right? So you've doubled up. The second hit, you're going to 210. And the third hit, right, you're going to 420. There's no fourth hit on a lot of these numbers. And, so it doesn't matter whether you're playing a $15 table or you're playing a $25 or a $10 table.
That's right.
A lot of people are not getting 3 and 4 hits.
That's right. And that's where you have to understand the game, which is I don't bet the current situation on past. If I'm up and I know that I'm going to hit this, I'm off. I'm taking it off. I may not hit my win goal. I'm taking it off. And that's why when someone says to me, hey, can you make $200 a day playing? Yeah, of course you can. Pretty easy. But can you do it? I don't know. I'm not inside your head. I'm not the Jiminy Cricket on your shoulders. Your conscience saying, hey, okay, time to get off the table. I'm not there. I can tell you, but you can be like my buddy Big Money Mike. He'll tell me, oh, you know what? This is on a roll. This guy clobbered the 9s. And he continues to press and press and press to the moon until all of a sudden he's done. His rack is empty and mine's still loaded up with chips. It happens.
And
Again, that's where that
And
discipline
I want
comes
to
in.
piggyback. I want to hang on. I want to piggyback on something. You know, he was saying there's no guarantees for 3 and 4. You know, John will testify. There's no guarantees for 2. You know, it's tough to get 2 hits. It's tough to get sometimes even 1 hit. So all you guys trying to get 3 and 4 hits. Sometimes that's beyond what it's going to give you. You have to live within the means of what the trend of the table is going to be doing. It's not going to be 3 and 4 and whatever. It's hard to get 2. You have to learn to regress, people. You got to learn to regress or turn them off. Just like El Toro was saying.
Yeah, regression is the only way to go, buddy. That's just me.
Exactly.
I know that strikes a chord with a lot of different people, but to me, I regress first hit off the bat. 2 most, I'm done. But hell, that's the way it works. I mean, get off the table, get out the hand fast, then don't bank on the past for future. It never works.
I
never works.
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree with you. You know, what I'm saying is, though, that, you know, you go out for 6 and 8, people, you know, the past hand, they throw a bunch of 6s, throw a bunch of 8s. I saw a guy who, in April, watched me throw a 30 hand. He took 3 hits and went all the way down, turned his bets off. And, you know, I threw a 30 roller. And he watched it happen. He was like, I'm happy.
Yeah. And there are people like
that's one of the
And
that's one of the things.
Your 15 roller
I preach.
brought me back when everyone else left the table, and it only took me 15 hits to get all the way back on a really shitty table. I hammered it, and then I took most of my money back down because I was above even. You have to be disciplined. Like Del Toro said, you may not get 1 hit from people most of the time, especially on the numbers that you're on, because you may be on a 6, 7, 8. You may be on an inside, and the people come out and they throw a 4 and a 10, and then they 7 out. You didn't get any of it.
That's right. You didn't. And guess what? You have to be content that you didn't ride the wave. Just like a surfer.
Exactly. That's what I try and preach to a lot. Is to be content within what you're doing.
One at a time, guys. One at a time. One at a time.
Go ahead.
No.
That's all right. No. Just you can't talk over each other. Jeremy, did you have your hand up for a comment?
Yeah. I don't know if I'm opening up a new can of worms, but so this argument makes sense to me. You're taking advantage of the short game. You're not being greedy. Like John has talked about, there's variances in the game. You're betting within the variance, so you're in and out. Totally makes sense to me. I've been a winning player by doing that myself. But going back to how it started with dice control or dice advantage, anytime you have an advantage, a percent advantage, just like the casino does, to me, it should be the opposite. It's almost like you're disproving that dice advantage is a thing. Because if you have an advantage, just like the casino, they have a 1.4% advantage. They pound it 24 hours a day, 365 days a year because they have that advantage. So I understand betting within short term and stuff, but it seems like it's a counter argument to actually having practiced and actually having a dice advantage. Because if you have the advantage, it seems like you should never leave the casino because the more you play, the more you would win. So I don't, if you guys can kind of explain that kind of aspect.
Let me make sure I'm understanding what you're saying. So, or maybe the way I understood you to say this was, if I'm an advantage player, why don't I just go and live at the casino and be there all day, open to close? Basically, is that what you're asking me?
Well, I mean, obviously you want a life and that sort of thing, but
no. Let's just say I was just by myself, a loner. Why wouldn't I go do that? Because over time, you're not going to be that way. Nobody is 100% perfect hitter.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So that what you're saying is you do not have a dice advantage. With your control is actually not overcome the percentage, and you do not have an advantage. You're a very smart player. You're playing within, you know the rolls, you're not being greedy, but you do not have a percentage advantage, right?
I don't think that's what he's saying. I think what he's saying is,
let's not
one at a time. One at a time. Go ahead, El Toro. Then I'm going to go to Alfredo. Then I'm going to come to Gargoyle. Go ahead, El Toro. Finish, and I'm going to go in that order.
I don't want to confuse advantage player with dice setter or certain dice sets. There's multiple things there. Advantage player is someone like myself who understands how to play the game, when to get in, when to get out, and how to bet on myself. The advantage player for me, when I'm holding the dice, yes, I will beat the odds, but I'm not going to stay there over time, because I know the longer I actually will stay there, the worse off it's going to get. Eventually, I will give the money back.
But if you have a percentage advantage, why would you ever give the money back? You'll have bad swings, but if you can, you're beating the math.
I am beating the math. You beat the math, and what you're saying is, hey, based on what you just said, you're contradicting yourself. Yes and no.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm contradicting myself, because if I do stay there over a longer period of time, your advantage as an advantage player will actually go down with a ton of throws. So, for example, the guys, even me, who I have the bone tracker, right? You run 1,000 throws through there. You're going to find out really what are you really throwing, right? Are you an advantage player? You're not. How many times do you touch the dice before you throw a 7? That's data. Calculated data is documented, right? You look at it. That's an advantage player. If I do that continuously for 8 hours, my numbers are going to go down. But typically what happens is we document those rolls for a period of 2 to 3 hours max. That's it. After that, you're done. It's too monotonous. For me, as an advantage player holding the dice, I will bet majority of the time on myself. That's it. I very rarely will I bet large sums of money on random.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes complete sense to me. And that's kind of the best I've heard that explained. It makes sense. Like, I would not, if I believed I had an advantage, I would never bet on the other players. And then I see what you're saying, where you have an advantage, but you're not a robot, right? You can't do it forever.
No, you cannot duplicate. There is nobody.
Okay. So you stick to what you've known in your practice.
I cannot duplicate my rolls. If I could duplicate my rolls, I could roll a 10 back to back with another 10 and another 10 and another 10 and another 10 every single time. I wouldn't bet another number but the 10. But I'm not a robot.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I can control what I'm doing. I can't control once those dice hit that felt. I can control them all the way up until the time they go, because I throw a knuckleball. That knuckleball, the way those dice leave my hand is the way they go and hit the table 9 times out of 10. That one time out of 10, though, when they don't go straight, guess what happens? It becomes random, completely off the charts. Now, all dice are random once they hit, just so that you know. But it gets worse when they start spinning in the air for me, right? Now, other people like to spin dice. Everybody likes to use the helicopter toss. Everyone's different, but you get to know your throw, you get to know your toss. For me, I just don't stay at the table that long. 2 hours, 3 hours max. After that, I know that things go downhill. Again, it's my multiple hours at the casino, multiple days, months, years. It didn't always start this way. I lost, like what Gargoyle was saying. My education is very expensive. Hundreds of thousands of dollars over my lifetime. It's expensive. But after a while, you get to figure it out and say, okay, how am I going to gain this back? How am I not going to put everything in jeopardy? You got to be an advantage player and be smart. Be disciplined. And don't think that just because this guy's rolling 6s galore over the last several rolls, he's going to come back and do it again. When you're up, you're up. Walk away. That's where most people fail.
Let's go to Alfredo, then we're going to go to Gargoyle, and then John wants to make a comment on this same topic. We'll keep this rolling because this is a very good debate. I think it's good for the community. It's good for all of us. So Alfredo, you had a comment?
Yeah, I mean, just like what El Toro's saying, right? When you bet on other players, your advantage begins to erode, and so you have to bet less. You have to regress You have to find yourself out of the hand faster, because that advantage, now you need to make that up. If you end up dunking a bunch of money before it gets back around to you, and it can take an hour and a half, 2 hours, 2.5 hours to get around to you. It could take 2 hours to get around to you, and it'd be really crappy rolls leading up to it. And so your time at the table is just eroding what your advantage is, and even if you were warmed up, it may not be there anymore by the time it gets back to you. So you need to recognize the shorter wins with sessions where you can go in and say, I went in for 400, I'm out for 800, I'm going to lock that away, I'm going to go rest up, I'm going to find a scenario where, okay, the person has the dice, it's two clicks away from where my spot is, and my spot's open, I'm going to jump in, and I'm going to be ready to hammer it when it comes over to me. Will it happen every time? No. When it does, then you walk away again. And you keep on chunking away with wins, and you recognize the patterns within your own practice so that you, within your own mechanics, are hammering what you know to be true. And when you do that, you will succeed. But like he said, it came at a cost, right? Like I know for myself, I didn't win playing craps at the beginning, outside of maybe one or two initial things in the first couple of years. And then when I started really practicing and started really getting my betting down, because it's more of a betting game than it is a shooting game. Because I could shoot the lights out, but if I don't know how to bet it, when I first started the game, I was just collecting. Didn't make shit. Didn't make anything. And then when I started understanding how to press and started understanding how to recognize when I was getting locked in, now I can get in. I mean, I cost myself $2,000, a little over that, on the last day. Even though I didn't lose money, I lost money because I left it all on the table, because I was trying to hit a home run instead of locking away an additional $2,000, which I could have did. But for me, I was happy. I was already up $4,000, $4,400 in this past trip, and I was content with that. But I was trying to hit a home run instead of just incrementally adding another couple thousand, which I could have did because the rolls were there. But I didn't do that because I left it all on the table.
All right. Good point. Gargoyle, you've been trying to chime in here for the last 5 or 10 minutes, so go ahead.
Yeah, no, a lot of what I wanted to say, Arturo already said, but I wanted to add that there's a physical and mental, stack to this whole thing for the advantage. The longer you roll, the more your toss is going to deteriorate. That's why we practice, honestly. That's why, I practice. I practice for stamina, so that I can, my 10th roll, 15th roll mimics my first roll. But after a while, you get fatigued, and that's why if I have a long roll and every table wants to pass the dice back to me, I won't shoot, because I'm already fatigued, and I know it's going to be a PSO the next time. So that's one of the reasons why you if you're up, you walk away, because your toss deteriorates over time, and it gets fatigued. And so for me, tossing the dice, I just wanted to add that if after a long roll, I get up. It doesn't matter who's rolling. I stop. I go to the bathroom. I go get coffee or something like that. I don't stay at the table.
All right, good point. I'm gonna address a question right here from a technical standpoint. Then I'm gonna go to John. Jamie asked, "Can I put somebody on the screen that's on the panel?" Jamie, some of these people are not our panelists are not have their video on. El Toro doesn't, Alfredo doesn't, and there's 3 or 4 that are still there just listening. So unless they want to display their face, I can put it up there like I just did with Gargoyle. Okay, John, go ahead with you said you had a weird good way to put this into an analogy.
I gotta hope so. I'm gonna put my teacher hat on here and ask you all the questions, because I'm sitting here with like 5 or 6 of the greatest dice throwers that are alive, right? And I want to frame this in this way. Think of this as blackjack, right? Random bullshit, horrible blackjack players got a 2% house edge, right? You're just going out there trying not to get 21 and just guessing at what to do, you got a 2% edge, right? Is that correct? We can all agree on that. If you learn basic strategy, what's it lower the house edge to? About 0.4% or something, or 0.5%, something like that, right? And if you're a card counter, you have an advantage. You're an advantage player. And to Jeremy's point earlier, the advantage player in card that are counting cards at blackjack, what do they want? Hours at the table. Those guys will play. If they could stay awake, they play for 40 hours because they are going to roll forever and run that advantage over many, many periods of time. Taking the fatigue piece out of this, I would tell you this. Most random players, Jeremy, I'll put you in this group. Greg from 555 Craps, Darksider in the chat. You're in the group. You're embracing the randomness of the game, and you're at the core house edge, 1.4 in craps on some of those bets, right? The 2% blackjack player. The guys that are working on DI, all of us, I think, in this room would probably agree. I hope. I'm asking you the question now. Where do you put yourselves? Are you great at basic strategy because you've practiced the crap out of that card with your dice throwing? Right? Is that where you put yourself? Have you lowered the house edge, not to be an advantage player, but to lower it in your favor because you've practiced what I would call craps basic strategy in terms of dice throwing? Or do you put yourself as an advantage player, an advantage thrower, akin to a card counter where if you could throw the same way for 20 hours in a row, time at the table would be in your advantage to keep playing? And I think most of us are trying to go from random Joe into basic strategy guy with our throwing practice. We're practicing like crazy just to lower it from 2% to 0.5%. We're trying to get from 1.41 on the 6, to maybe get it down to 0.5% if we can do it, because we throw one more 6 than we should. That's what this is all about. I don't think time at the table is an advantage to us, like Jeremy would. I think that's what your point you're trying to make, is nobody has that advantage, the actual advantage. We've lowered it to be favorable, but I don't think Evan. And would you all agree? I mean, let's ask you all the throwers here. What category are you, and what are you trying to become? And like, why put in Gargo 4 hours a day? Like, I practice live. I'm live 4 hours a day. It seems like, so I practice probably as much. Why are we doing this? What group are you trying to get into? And I'd love to know the answer to that.
Can I say something, Jeff?
All right, let's go ahead, Ed. Go ahead, Ed.
All right, so there's two sides of every coin. You got advantage play, and you got knucklehead play.
Honest Ed, baby.
Yeah. So if you're an advantage player and you have an 8 roll and you made $20, whatever you make on an 8 roll, and then you bet on the next random guy next to you, you give away all your advantage as a player, right? If you go out there 110 across on some swinging peckerhead who doesn't know anything and it's all based on random luck, you just gave away your advantage that you had on yourself. So you're stupid to bet on a very heavy, if you're going to bet at all, on those other people. My objective on the other people at the table is to have to win enough carefully so that I don't have to take money out of my rack, my personal buy-in, so that I can bet on myself when the dice come back to me. That's just the way I play. Am I a professional? No. But I don't want to give away my advantage by betting on these idiots at the table. Am I going to miss 14 fours? Yeah, I'm going to miss a few of those. I don't care. I'm going to sit there and go, yep, I just missed that bet. But the other thing is you got to be table aware. Is that person actually setting the dice? Are they hitting a landing zone close? Is their toss repeatable? And if it's repeatable, maybe you can bet on that 4 because they might throw 14 more after you bet on it, right? You also need to know the odds of each number rolling within any particular session or within any particular hand. So, most people cut their throats by betting 110 or 220 or 4, whatever they're betting on these other people at the table because they think they're going to throw like they do, and they don't. They're going to PSO. We were at the Brownwater Bash. We went all the way around the table. And everybody at that table PSO'd. Dice come to me, and I'm like, holy shit, we got to stop this stuff right now. We got to stop it. I mean, you don't give away if you're betting on other people as a dice influencer, if you think you have that ability, you're giving away your advantage as soon as you place a bet on some other person at the table. Because your advantage is only on yourself. It's not on them. Otherwise, you better know how to bet.
If you have an advantage, and that was what I was asking. If you have an advantage, I would agree with that. But even the greatest card counters in the world, with a plus 61 deck, still get beat by that set of cards. Like there's no guarantee here. It's just you don't know what's burned.
And that guy, you don't know how many. You don't know what was in the burn, and you don't know what was in the first cut that went the first card that went.
Exactly.
Went away, right?
I don't know how to raise my hand.
That's why they do that. So you can't count them. you can't really use the advantage of a full deck or whatever because that's how they do that. But on dice, the only game in the casino where the player has control of the outcome of the game. And that's why it's the best game, in my opinion. You don't have anybody spinning a damn wheel and dropping a ball. You don't have some machine shuffling whatever, and you don't have all those, one-arm bandits like my wife likes to play. Dice is the only game where the player has control, has input into the output. So don't bet on everybody like you would bet on yourself if you have influence.
All right. Somebody else had a comment in there. I heard somebody else speak up.
I said I'm raising my hand. I don't know how to do it on this thing.
Okay. All right. Go ahead. No, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So, John, you made a great comment there about an advantage player and a person who plays blackjack. Let's assume that is all 6 decks in a shoe, just like a baccarat shoe, right? Does that advantage player playing blackjack, does he bet the exact same amount every time those cards flip over?
No.
Or is he varying his bets?
That's using your advantage, right? That's using your advantage. That advantage does not create the 21.
That is what makes that advantage player. Yeah, that's what makes that advantage player an advantage player. Now,
100%.
Take that same advantage player and put him at a table that has an electronic shuffler that makes him shift the cards after 5 decks, even though there's 6 decks in the shoe. Does that same advantage player have the same advantage?
If it's that constant shuffler, no. There's no advantage at all.
No, there's not. Is there a difference to that player? No. That player is exactly the same, isn't he? He's going to still try to play that shoe if it's coming out to the best of his abilities. But he's not going to play as many hands on that, is he? Because that is like having a table full of other people, which is what we normally have. And that's why when I play as an advantage player, I bet the majority of my bets and the heavier bets on myself. Now, will I play on other people? Sometimes, maybe, but is it going to be heavy denominations? No. The question that you asked was, where do we put ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. Basically, is it what are we trying to become or what are we trying to be?
What are you trying to become? Like, what is the goal? You're practicing to become perfect at card count, or perfect. Are you trying to be a card counter, the equivalent of a card counter, or are you trying to be perfect at basic strategy? And I would say that the typical swing and pecker, you guys call them, walking up to the table, they're just guessing. Please don't give me a 21, and here's all my money. Yeah. They're 2% house edgers, and they don't really care.
To answer your question the way I understand it, is I'm trying to actually be proficient at both. It's not there's not one without the other in my mind, the way it works. Mm-hmm. One without the other doesn't work well. You can't just wash one hand with one hand. It takes 2 hands to wash each other.
You're talking about
I
betting
guess
and
that's the
throwing
way I would answer it.
as two things, right?
So
Is that what you're saying? Betting and throwing?
I learned how to bet properly, correctly, and I also want to learn how to throw correctly, if you will, and put the two together to where it's to my advantage. That's what's going to make me an advantage player. Is it going to happen effectively 100% of the time? No. Are there days that, like Alfredo, I'm going to lose $2,000? Yep. But you know why? Because Alfredo was looking for the grand slam, and he should have just kept sticking to base hits. That's your terms, I think, right?
Yep.
Baseball.
Go ahead. Yep. Alfredo, go ahead. You had your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think the advantage play, like you're thinking, John, it's more. Find myself as a better, right? My advantage is the fact that I know that the seven's coming. It's the fact that I know how to bet when things are going well, and I know how to get out of the hand. And beyond the fact that I can shoot well, now that I can shoot well, now I have an even bigger advantage. But it's not like a blackjack grind. I used to do the blackjack grind, and it's you wait for these instances where you're seeing the actual dealer bust and where things are happening the way they should happen, and then you hit that big run and then you get out. In craps, you're going to know pretty early whether or not you're on them that day, and you're going to have to make a decision. Are you willing to dip back into your pocket, or are you willing, if the table's empty, maybe I will, because I know that if I see enough information, I can make an adjustment to what the table conditions are. And if I make the right adjustment, just the other night, I went from not hitting anything over 10 early in the day. Then I had a 40 and a 35 back to back. You don't see that very often at all, if ever, from one person. But it happens. And if you make the right decision according to what you're seeing, you can definitely take advantage of that, and then you hammer it. One of the biggest things on this trip, I didn't make money off myself. I made money off of someone else because I know how to bet thousands of dollars off someone else. And it was because I knew how to bet and I knew how to lock it away.
Right. Well, I think so. What we're talking about, and El Toro mentioned the same thing, and I want to make sure that we use the right words here, because being a great bettor, right, being an above average dice thrower does not equal advantage. Like, advantage means overcoming the house edge, and none of us has done that. We've had great runs, but none of us, if you're an actual advantage player, overcoming house edge like a card counter does, at that point, it makes sense to never stop playing, right? None of us have achieved that. Now we've overcome stupidity. We've got discipline. We have great ways that we bet and play. And if you're throwing great that day, right, for that moment in time, you may have an advantage in your throw because you've caught some groove or whatever. But I think that's an important thing. And I think we're using that word a lot. And it feels like, is it the right word to be using? Are we just above average? Versus advantage, because advantage to me, it takes on a different meaning, and that's a card counter have an advantage. I don't know if any of us does.
Remember, the house edge is 1 point something % on the pass line. So if your average box hits compared to a random person being below 3 or right at 3, and your average box hits because you use Bone Tracker and you put in a lot of practice is above 5 or 6, if you get the dice enough, if you have the discipline not to bet on everyone else as much as you're betting on yourself, you're going to have an advantage. It will be in your favor, and all it takes is one run for you to make up everything else. Now, you hopefully will not give a bunch away because you're betting stupidly on other people. That puts you further behind. That makes it more that you need to make up when you do have that big run. And trust me, El Toro, Ed, you're going to see a really good run. You have to be able to make it. Once you start making money off of a 6 and 7 roller, then you're starting to play craps. If you're losing money on a 10 and 15 roller, you need to look at what the hell you're doing, because you're not doing it right.
All right, let me go to Gargoro, who's got his hand up, then Craig from Old Bay, who's been sitting there so patiently tonight. Go ahead, Gargoro.
So I'm just going to give you from my perspective. It's all about what we do with SRR, 7 to rolls ratio, and what goes into the volume tracker. The longer the rolls go, and the more data you put in, the lower your SRR goes. So, me personally, what I try to do, and that's the reason why I track this, is I try to try and get at least 10 hits without a 7. So I do max, 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 max press. And then on the 10th roll, I regress everything to 52 across or whatever. And then I don't care what happens. If I roll and I 7 out or I roll, I just keep taking. I hit my win goal. Just like I have a loss limit and I have a win limit. I try to do 10 hits, max, 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 and then just take everything down. And then this is where I believe that I'm an advantage player over the house edge, because the house edge says in order for the house edge to beat me, I have to keep going, pressing and pressing and pressing on the 15th and 20th. I beat the house edge if I go 10 rolls and I regress. I take all that money off the table. I've already beat the house. That money is mine. The house can't beat me on it. This is how I think about it. Right now, others have different ways of doing it, and of course, it's about betting, learning how to bet. I don't bet. That's why I play. I like an empty table. I don't. If there are other people, maybe I do a don't. Maybe I do a $12 6 and 8 just to kind of keep it going. But I'm not giving back my winnings off of just people that I don't know that are shooting. And that's regardless of whether I'm going in there in the morning to get my win limit in the sessions and leave, or I'm going with a bunch of friends to play. I always have try and stay with that mentality. I don't know if that makes sense or not.
It does. It does. But thanks. I appreciate that insight. I'm looking at a couple comments coming in here. 10 rolls, and Arnell saying the same thing. Big money if you press 10 times. But Craig, you had your hand up. You've been sitting patiently in the Zoom queue. So go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to add for people that say they're only playing on themselves. I'm seeing more and more casinos making you play minimum bets on every shooter, and I don't like it. I think that's just pathetic on a casino's part to make you sit there and most people are coming in with $200-300 bankrolls on average, and they're making you play table minimum on every single shooter just to stay at the table instead of
line bets, not even place bets, line bets, Craig, right?
Yeah,
That's garbage. Yeah,
I'm seeing it more and more, and it sucks. Now sometimes, and then here's the thing. They're not being consistent with it either. So sometimes I particularly don't want. I know this person around the table. I've seen them play, and I don't like the way they shoot, and I don't like to bet on them. So sometimes I'll just maybe put $4 on the hard ways, and that's it. Just to keep some action, and that's it. But then when the stick person turns to you and says you need to have 15 minimum on the table, like why? I'm not. I'm not the one shooting, and I'm seeing it more often than I hate it.
At 5 o'clock in the morning, I am the only idiot in the casino playing. That's why I don't have to worry about betting about other players.
Yeah. No, it is perfectly fine when you're the only one. And
$19 don't pass, Craig. $19 don't pass.
I love it, Ed. I love it. It's one of my favorites. And to Adam earlier. Yeah, I was playing that actually, and did switch over and lost a little bit. But then I went back tonight, and I couldn't get a spot. They had 4 tables going, and I could not get in. So I went to Stadium Craps, and just played on feeling and trend, and made back half of my loss. And then they were doing a promotion, and I got a $15 free slot play, which I cannot stand slots. I said, "What the hell? I'll put it in. I don't give a shit." Well, turned the 15 into 63, and I actually I won $4 today, profit.
Good luck. Good deal.
All right. Anybody else on this topic? By the way, we just pushed over the 3-hour mark on this show, so Yes, Jeremy, you've been here since the beginning too. So has Gargoyle and Corey. But I think this is a great debate tonight, guys. Great debate that we're having. Any of the co-panels that are here with me on the broadcast software, Dylan, John, Ed, any comments as to what's been said recently?
Hey, this is
Go ahead.
Well, whenever you're done, I'd like to hear Jeremy's take on this one. He's a smart guy. I'd like to hear his take on that.
All right, Jeremy, it's directed to you from El Toro.
Take on what?
What John was talking about. Advantage play, I know, right? It's been forever on the question. Something about as a shooter or as a player, what are we looking to become by doing this? Are we wanting to be?
Well, yeah, that's kind of the argument that I was kind of getting at, and that you guys have kind of somewhat explained is, a card counter gains an actual percentage advantage, and so they don't want to leave the casino, so they play as much as they can until they're kicked out, and they go find another casino and they play as much as they can until they're kicked out, right? And I understand dice is a different game, and you guys have explained. You can't maintain that actual percentage advantage over time, and that's why you can't just go in and play 24 hours a day. So I guess that's the difference. They're kind of two different games. So I get your guys' point at it, and then I understand what John's kind of trying to get at. Like, are we trying to be advantage? It's more like advantage players versus advantage shooters. Like, you guys know, you do your bone tracking. You know if you're an advantage shooter or not, right? You're beating the 1 out of 6. So you know you're advantage shooter, at least on your home table. But to take it to the casino, you can't maintain it, like you're saying, over a long period of time or whatever, but you can be an advantage shooter for a period of time, but you have to combine that with being advantage player of, your betting and your discipline and that sort of thing. So it's obviously there's a lot of dynamics and different aspects to it.
You see, this is why I asked Jeremy, because Jeremy's a good listener, and he hears a lot of different perspectives from everybody, and he puts it into better words than the rest of us. He's smarter than all of us, I can tell you. I just text John the same thing. For me, on the fly, on the cuff, we're going to sound like idiots. We don't, we haven't been prepped. These questions haven't come to us, and we prepared answers like attorneys. None of those things. It's hard to put it into words. The best thing that I was equating this to when we were talking about this blackjack player as an advantage player in blackjack will be pretty similar to an advantage player in craps, especially when they are on those auto shufflers. That becomes random because you're taking 6 decks and you're reshuffling those cards after 4.5, 4.2 decks is what they do, or 5 decks. They usually leave a full deck sitting in the chute and they pull out the next deck for the next group of next 6 decks, right? That's kind of a random. You really can't do a true shoe count, I guess, if you're going to do a +1, -1. Right, Jeremy?
Right, and that's why basically
so that's where the random
advantage card counting is going away as more and more casinos put in automatic continuous shufflers. That's why you're seeing all the old card counters. They're all retiring. They're just saying you can't beat that.
You can't beat it
because they no longer have the advantage, right?
And I think that's where we're looking at is from a dice shooter standpoint is our card shuffler, unfortunately, is still going to be the alligator backing. It's still going to be the bounce off that felt by the time when it lands. That's going to be that little randomization. That whatever percentage that's going to be is still going to jumble up those dice to a certain extent. Can you sharpshoot? You got to be able to lay them dead flat, no bounce up against the back. I mean, it's tough. But can you do it all the time? No. Nobody's that good, right? Nobody. So when we're talking about advantage players, I think really the best way to look at it is it's a 2-part deal, and that's what you were saying. You take what's how do I say? You said it. You actually said it the right way the first time. Where we're doing the dice and we're doing the betting, combining those together to become an advantage player. That's kind of what I was. You said it right. Just by listening to everybody's answers.
And it's fleeting.
John, does that
advantage
answer your question, little bastard?
It pretty much does. Yeah, I mean, it's a fleeting event. It's in a moment, right? It's a momentary advantage when you have the dice and are doing well and are betting properly. You get your 10, you're in, you're out, you're done. You hit it and quit it. It's all good, man. That's what I wanted to hear.
All right. Anybody else got anything on this topic? I think this last almost 70 minutes of conversation has been good for the game and good for the perspectives of everybody that we've really had here. I've really enjoyed tonight's show. It definitely will come into probably one of my my top 3 shows that we've done out of the over 30 shows we've done in 2 seasons. It's amazing. Guys, you know, it's pushing over the 3-hour time limit. If nobody else has anything else to say here, nobody's raised their hands, nobody has anything else to say. I do want to put up here, there was a comment here. Where'd it go? I'm sorry. That's what I get for not being ready. View the queue. There we go. There was a question here for John from we're switching gears here. John, as we get ready to close the show out, Joe Ramus asked, is there any update on your player locator for Biloxi, Atlantic City, Reno, Vegas, and such?
Yes. Anybody who logs into casinogaming.tv you log in and you go to the locator, you can add a casino. So anybody can add them. So I think somebody actually added all of New Jersey for us. I forget who that was. It might have been Adam. But somebody added all of Jersey, or maybe I think it was Lou did it. So yeah, if you logged into the thing, you can add the casinos from your hometown. So you clicked on the casino locator and you click add casino and you just type in the city and the name. So yeah, it's kind of a community effort right now.
But the key to it there, John, is that they have to get into the Discord. I mean, into the Discord portion of your.
If you're a Discord member and then you log into the website with your Discord account, you can add it. It's kind of we'll just do it ourselves. Yep. Oh, Sideshow's here.
Hey, there he is. There. Welcome, Chris. Be safe out there, my friend. And I sent you a message, but you didn't get it. Gargoyle, you got your hand up again. Go ahead, sir.
I had a quick question, and thanks, guys, for letting me join. This was a lot of fun. First time caller, long time listener, I guess, but I don't know if that's. But I heard that I came in on a comment that there's something going on for charity here towards the end of the year. I'll get more information from Ed if Ed knows about it. But I'd like to maybe raffle out one of my layouts or something like that. One of the craps layouts.
We're actually getting ready to talk about it. That's what we're going to. We're going to wrap the show up on it. So, John, that's a good cue, good segue in there. Way to bring us around.
Put it right up on the tee. I can just knock it out of the park here, right?
Yeah, that's right. So, John, we do have Crapsathon coming up. It's the Veterans Day weekend. I'm going to give it to you, and you can tell us any updates or any news that you may have leading into that.
Sure. Well, the dates of it are going to be November 11th and 12th, which is Saturday, Sunday of Veterans Day weekend in Vegas at Casino Quest. We're going to go from, I think it's basically Casino Quest hours, like 10 to 7 Saturday, 10 to 7 Sunday. Instead of going overnight, it'll be 24 hours, but it'll be, 2 days during the daytime. So it'll be live. We're going to stream from Casino Quest's YouTube channel the entire time. All the proceeds are going to go towards veterans this year. We actually found Adam's here. Adam can even talk about this. We found somebody who actually trains dogs specifically to help veterans with PTSD. So this is not going. Money's donated this year. We're not going to go to some big charity where it's all going to admin costs. Money's raised this year will go directly to somebody who trains actual dogs, and the dogs go to veterans' houses. So. Whatever we raise, I'm going to guess we're going to have actual dogs in houses helping vets out. So that's the plan. It'll be there in person 2 days. I'll be there probably the whole week. I'll probably get there Thursday and play all through next week through the F1 weekend. But yeah, that's it. It's going to be Veterans Day weekend, so it's coming right up. Get your tickets to Vegas. Get a room now. It's going to be, I would imagine, a little bit spendy because F1 races the following week. So. You might want to jump on it if you're going to do that with us.
Yep, I have my rooms already. I will be there this year. So let's go ahead and start.
I will be able to help. Oh, by the way, I should mention this too. I actually just got my approval to be a casino host. So I will be a Caesars, Boyd, and Station casino host within the next number of calendar days, and I will be able to help folks get rooms behind the scenes. So if you don't have a host, need a host, want help, let me know. I will be able to kind of tickle the back doors there and get us some rates. I hope. I don't know what the access. I have to go through training still, so I don't know what the access looks like yet. But I can help get some stuff.
All right, so, that's good. That's good to know. So let's go ahead and start winding the show down. It takes us about an hour and a half to do that. Just kidding. We're going to start with the Gargoyle since he had the microphone last. It's your first time on the show tonight. Anything you'd like to add to the show, or any closing words from you?
That was a lot of fun, and I've learned some stuff. So thanks for inviting me.
Yep. Well, we hope you come back. We do. This show's open to everybody. We have mostly YouTubers on here, but we've had a couple people that don't have a YouTube channel that come on the show. And of course, if you look, we've just pushed over 1,600 chats for the show. So that's an awful lot of chatting going on over there. So let's go to Jeremy. Color Up. Thank you for coming on the show and sticking throughout the whole show. I mean, I really appreciate that, Jeremy. What are your thoughts on the show? And we hope you come back again sometime. Soon.
Yeah, well, the wife's out of town, so it makes it easy, and I always want to be a part of this. I love a conversation, good conversation. Appreciate not everyone ganging up and beating on me about being the random guy in the room. So very civil discourse. You guys are very respectful. I appreciate that, and I commend you guys for what you do. You know, the time you put in. I've seen people with stats, and I've seen people gain that advantage in practice and stuff. I'm just not willing to put in the practice and the hours, right? Like El Toro said, my focus is on YouTube, and I'm not willing to put in the time. So I commend you guys that do put in the time to perfect a toss, which is very commendable, very cool, very impressive. But it was a very fun conversation tonight, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
Well, we hope you come back soon, and don't send your wife away too often, but definitely come back and visit us. John's a host now. He'll put her up somewhere. So let's go down to Alfredo, Texas Crap Shooters. Alfredo, any closing words tonight?
I thought it was a great conversation. Folks, learn how to bet. I mean, before you're going to be able to put in the time to understand your own toss, you need to put into practice on betting and getting out of the hand. And I'll tell you, while hybrids will keep you on the table for a long time, you need to pick a side if you're gonna if you're gonna do it successfully to be able to make some money and be able to get out of it. So hybrids will allow you to stay at the table, but you're going to be more closer to the middle than you are at all. On whether you pick the dark side or the light side. So just learn how to bet. That'll help you. Make sure that you don't martingale. Doesn't work. You'll get hit. The one time you get hit, that hit will take probably 10 times your bankroll, which you would normally have in order to be able to fund the martingale. So take care.
All right, Craig, Old Bay, didn't get much in to say, but you've been here most of the night, most of the second half of the night. Any closing words?
Great show as always. This is a hell of a panel we got here. I appreciate all the guys that came on, especially the Jeremy, Gargoyle, and El Toro. El Toro speaks true words, man. And I've already and John knows this, and Jeff knows this. I am just starting, because I'm a beginning craps player, on teaching myself discipline. This weekend was actually the first weekend that I've been trying this, and it's been successful. But you literally have to tell yourself, you look down at your chips, you see where you are, and you're like, do I have what I wanted to come here and win? Yep. Okay. Later. Color up. Leave. And it takes balls to leave a table and not blow it off, because I got tired of so many times $300, $400, $500 buy-ins and just go down to zero, and it's gone within 45 minutes or an hour. And this type of discipline style playing keeps you at the table for hours. It might be a grind sometimes, but once you meet your goal, later. I'll come back again. So,
all right.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks for being on the show. Corey, don't go anywhere. You were the first one here in Zoom. You're going to be the last one I'm going to talk to. I'm going to give El Toro some final words here and what he thought of the show tonight. And please, I know you've made several appearances on the show, but we hope that you come back as well. So any thoughts tonight, El Toro?
Yeah, buddy, I'll keep coming back as long as you keep paying me. Sure.
Well, I tell you what, we're going to add an extra zero behind what we're already paying you, and I hope that's enough.
No, it's always a pleasure to be a part of these. I can't always make them, but when I do, I hope I actually bring value to your show. I hope I bring value to all the other folks that are on this show and everybody who watches it. Everybody has a unique perspective, and there's a lot of snake oil out there. Just be cautious, be careful, and just learn how to play before you watch a YouTube video and think that, oh yeah, I can do that now. It's just
El Toro.
Just be careful. Just be careful is all I got to say.
Okay. All right. No, I appreciate that. Sorry, I'm looking at a second question. Dan, I saw your question come in a little while ago. I don't know that we're going to be able to get to that tonight. So let's keep on going here, and maybe I'll review the question. Corey, you were the first one here. You said you were tired when you came in the show. Almost. Are you ready for this, Corey? Almost 4.5 hours ago, you've been sitting there with us, almost 4 hours ago. So any closing words from you? Sith the Lord, who's not going to be available for Friday night fights.
This has been long enough that I got dinner and went out to eat and in and out. I've been following along the whole way, but an incredible panel. This is my first panel, by the way. I've made a couple of after shows, but this is the first panel I've been in. Incredible information that has come in from the great shooters and a great random as well. So El Toro's perspective has been fantastic. I didn't have much to add to this one. I just sat back and listened. There's too good of a panel to interrupt too much.
Well, thank you, Corey. You're welcome anytime. That's the Zoom panel. To everybody that was here, Adam left a little while ago. So did Tony and a couple other people that were here in Zoom. They left. So I'm going to go up there to Ed from Roll to Win to get his final comments of tonight's show.
Well, I got to tell you, man, you can't have a better panel than we had tonight, and I really appreciate and respect everybody on the panel. We've got Jeremy. Jeremy is a legend in the YouTube world. You got El Toro, who's a legend in the YouTube world and in the real world, I guess, if you want to call it that. I don't know. No offense to Jeremy on that, but I mean, there's a difference of play. And somehow I rooked my buddy my buddy. Gargoyle into coming in here, and of course he did his video tonight, and part 2's coming soon. So thanks to everybody. I mean, hey, I was a nice guy tonight. I didn't have to be my typical asshole self, right? So that's a good thing. I mean, y'all did a great conversation, and I didn't have to be a jerk. So I'm proud of that, but. Craps is not an easy game. YouTube is entertaining, and sometimes it's educational, and sometimes it's really not educational. So buyer beware, or viewer beware of what you watch and what you do. There's, as El Toro said, there's a lot of snake oil out there. So you need to decide who you are as a player in this game. If you're not confident in your ability to shoot the dice, and you haven't practiced or been able to practice your ability to shoot the dice and learn the types of numbers that you expect to toss, then you better be, as Alfredo said, a very good bettor. Because Otherwise, you're just a deadgum random weekend player. And I realize there's a lot of random weekend players out there, but you need to try to win. So the only reason I go to a casino is to win money. I don't go to socialize. I don't go to drink brown water. I don't go to have a good time with a bunch of people at a table. I go to win. And that's what you've got to decide, and you got to figure out how you're going to do that if you're going to win. That's what you got to do. And I appreciate this has been a great panel. I mean, it's been awesome.
Absolutely.
Loved it. I've been real quiet tonight, and it's a joy to me to be quiet.
It's almost frightening.
We enjoyed that too, Ed.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't talk about your bald head, John.
All right, John, a segue right into you, my friend.
God.
For tonight, what's coming up this week with
Ed said that great. I didn't talk much tonight either. It was good to listen to the experts kind of battle it out, and it was kind of cool. I just wanted to. Oh, I'm always happy to be a part of this thing. My shows this week are going to be, as we said, I don't even know what to expect yet. I have, I know I planned stuff out last week. I got to go do some studying tonight and see what's going to happen here. But I'm sure I'll address a little bit of this tomorrow. I got, you guys know I was gone last week. I had death in the family, and a lot of learnings from that for sure this week. So I think I'll kind of sprinkle some of that stuff in as we go. And I just want to close by just thanking everybody. I wish I could show you like my phone. It would be breaking privacy laws if I did, but I probably got 50 different people texting me. Condolences for me and my family. Discord blew up, which was crazy. Jeff and Chris took over the show this week. All last week they ran basically Coffee and Craps all week long. Chris rolled the exact number of rolls every day, one roll from every year of my dad's life, which was amazing. The amount of love and support from the community was awesome this week. It's just, I like literally my boss, I got to call my bosses out too. Cause like Sunday night when my dad passed on Saturday and I'm like, okay, I guess we're buying plane tickets. Off we go to Florida. Right. And just left. And I call my boss from Florida and said, oh, by the way, I'm going to need the week off. My dad passed away. He's like, okay, whatever you need. Like just done. And you all just picked up the ball here and let me just be what I needed to be this week. So I appreciate y'all. I love every one of you. Like you have no idea what this community means to me is a lot. And the fact that like y'all love me back was really cool. So just watching from afar for the week was amazing. You guys are awesome. So just thanks. Virtual hugs. Thanks all of you.
All right. Well, John, you know that you were missed last week. However, we know that it was important for you to be with family. And as you know, both Chris, myself, and a couple other people jumped right on it. I did. I probably am guilty of texting several people that I knew that you were close with throughout the craps community ahead of time because I wanted them to be aware of it. Some of them are on the show here tonight that knew it and thanked me for letting them know. But John, prayers be with you and your mom and your brother, and God bless you. And I think everybody's ready for you to come back. No disrespect there, but I think they missed some bald-headed John.
Oh, yeah. I wrote to Greg, my friend Greg from 555 Craps, and he's like, how you doing? I'm like, you know what? I need the simplicity of craps back in my life. Like, craps is easier to deal with, as hard as this game is, than running through, the logistics of a parent passing there's just so much. And you're never ready for it. I know many of you have lost parents, I'm sure, and you're just never ready for it. It's just, there's nothing that gets you prepped for that, and there's like these moments of like, you got to go in, like you guys got to go with blinders on and get shit done. And then there's moments where you just break down completely, and it's like, how do you juggle that? It's so damn hard. So yeah, give me some craps. Let me roll some dice and swear a little bit. That's what I want to do.
You will, and I'm going to add this into it before I go to the creator of the show, Dylan. Greg and I have known each other for Greg from Fives. We've known each other for about 2 years, and we didn't get off on a very good start because we differed on what kind of player I was. But I talked to him, John, this past week. The most I've talked to him probably in 2 years, and just the love and care and concern that comes from him. And then I reach out to the rest of the craps community and was telling them this, and the amount of times I spoke with Chris and Dylan. I even talked to Ken from Ken Knows Gambling, and they all, just the way this community came together, it warmed my heart to know that this little small niche that we have here in this craps community, we've got the biggest YouTuber in the craps world with us, and we've got the smallest one with us today, and we're all here for the same goal, the same the idea is to better ourselves at this game and share some common ground. And when one of us is hurting, I think that it goes to show you that it's a big family. And John, once again, condolences to you and your brother and your mother. And I'm looking forward to seeing some CNC in the morning. And that's not Canadian Lord Calvert either. All right, Dylan, I know what you're going to ask, and I'll tell you, but go ahead, Dylan. What did you think of tonight's show? You have 5 seconds to wrap it up.
Oh, Lord. 5 seconds. It's already gone. No, I love. Thank you, all the panelists that came on, all the great questions and whatnot. Once again, it's one great big community family of this craps thing that we've got going on, and I just can't say thank you enough for everyone participating in the show. But there was a lot of great things said tonight, and so I was there. I had a great wow moment with Gargoyle saying that he was trying to go for 10. And that was a huge shock for me that, I don't ever try to go for 10 straight presses. That's way out of my league. But, and if he can do it, God bless him. I said, wow, so loud. It was like, oh my God, it shocked me. So that was one great moment there that was just fascinating. But
10 rolls.
But
10
there was
rolls pressing. 10 rolls pressing, not 10 presses for a particular number. Just 10 rolls pressing, period.
Oh, okay.
10 rolls, yeah. 10 rolls, period, not pressing.
But I would like to say one last thing here. A great topic, that Alfredo has brought up and some other people have brought up is learning to bet correctly and in a good template or whatever of what we could of what technically what good bets are would be a great show topic for a future craps chat. So I would like to have the panels come back and we can address that. We addressed one issue, and I think betting, like we said, it goes hand in hand with dice influence, and the betting thing is something that we all can do, and we can all share and grow together upon that. So I think it's a common foundation that we need to build upon, and I think that's a good thing. That'd be a good topic for another show. And Jeff, based on that, thank you so much for everything that you do. And when is our next craps chat?
It's actually going to be on the 13th of August, so it's going to be 2 weeks from tonight. I believe that's the 13th. Now you're going to make me look because I looked earlier because I knew you were going to ask me. I want to make sure that's right. Yeah, the 13th. The 30th. Oops, wait a second. Going the wrong way. The 3rd, yes. So it would be 1. Oh, it's the 6th. I'm sorry. It would actually be the 6th, correct? Yes, the 6th. The 6th of August would be our next one because we're doing it on the 6th and the 20th because I will not be here on the 27th. I have another trip to head out to on that day. So it's going to be August 6th. I did have the wrong date. I remember the 13th didn't sound right when I first started talking about that. Just a funny note for tonight. I will give John kudos for this. John put that he did not drop the first F-bomb tonight. So John, good to you.
0 tonight.
Yeah,
0 F-bombs tonight.
Yeah, Chris Dice-Dejan wasn't here, so I don't think he was keeping track. We didn't have the over or the under on that. So, guys, I think that's going to do it for us. Guys, we do have an after show. I don't know. Last time we went so long, the after show only lasted about 40 minutes. So if you want to hang in there and stay for the after show, it's in the Zoom link. Is actually in the description. It is also in the tagged in the chat as well. We've got a couple people already coming into the after show. I don't know what to expect from the after show. There's the Zoom link. Click it in the chat. Scroll all the way back. It's pinned at the top, and you will see it. Guys, this has just been one heck of a show. To all the hosts that came on here, the panelists that came on here, I appreciate you coming on, and hopefully some of you will come back in 2 weeks to see us on August 6th. Till then, guys, as I always say, please, you know what I'm going to say, right? Everybody? Nobody? Anybody? All right, guys.
Practice like you play like you practice. That's what you're going to say.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, rack the black. Be safe. Play smart. We'll see you in the after show. Come on over to Zoom.